Chapter 326. Looking at the countless cheering audiences below the stage, Gang, the lead singer of the Wednesday band, was thrilled. For more than a decade, the fate of him and the Wednesday band could be described as ups and downs. When he became famous in 72H and joined Gem Records, he thought he had embarked on a bright road to stardom. However, there were many contradictions within the band and with the signing company, which consumed too much of Gang's energy. In the end, he had to take several members to the south and stay away from the mainstream circle. However, the idea of returning to Beijing had always been in Gang's heart. He just wanted to make a comeback. He must come back in style and let the name of the Wednesday band become loud in the pop music world again. Now Gang's goal had been half achieved. The two original works had undoubtedly been recognized by the audience. Their applause was the best proof. He couldn't help but clench his fists. After bowing to express his gratitude, he walked off the stage with his team members. But Gang didn't go far. He stood at the bottom of the steps. Because he knew that the next singer was Lu Chun, a popular star in the music world. Gang first heard the name Lu Chun in July last year. At that time, a new singer came to the bar where he sang. The latter's first song was called In the Spring. Gang still remembered the first time he heard In the Spring. His whole body was numb, the blood in his body rushed to the top of his head, and he was so excited that he wanted to cry. This song was so well written. And the author of this song was Lu Chun, a very young singer and songwriter. Later he gradually learned about many of Lu Chun's works, including Lu Chun's album, You Who Sat Next to Me. Gang admired Lu Chun's creative talent. When he learned that Lu Chun would also participate in 72H and would appear at the same time as him, he felt excited. A singer must challenge himself and his opponent to continue to improve. Most importantly, Gang was very confident in his work. He believed that the Wednesday band, which had been rebuilt by him, would not lose to anyone. On the contrary, he was looking forward to Lu Chun's appearance. He couldn't wait to know what new works the latter would come up with. Folk song? Or light rock? Or something else? If he could defeat Lu Chun on this stage, then his return with Wednesday would be perfect. Just as Gang was in a state of confusion, Lu Chun took the Nirvana band to the big stage. Everyone's eyes were focused on him. The arrangement for the first day of the 72H Music Festival was a bit special. At this time in the evening, Liao Jia, Wednesday's band, and Lu Chun were arranged to appear consecutively. While creating a climax atmosphere, it also allowed the audience to naturally intuitively compare the three. Liao Jia's performance was wonderful, and his strength was worthy of his reputation. Wednesday was a surprise for the band. It was the highlight of the first day's performance, and its original works were of high quality. So what will Lu Chun, who has just appeared on the stage, bring to the audience? Now the audience's appetite had been big. Although Lu Chun was very famous and had the reputation of being a musical genius, he might not necessarily have a wonderful performance. There were not just one or two celebrities who had lost face on 72H, and the audience's expectations and doubts have imperceptibly condensed into a huge pressure imposed on Lu Chun. Many of the fans who came to the 72H scene were born in the 60s and 70s. Some of them didn't like Lu Chun and thought that he was not much different from the so-called fresh meat in the current entertainment industry. Speaking of this impression to a large extent was caused by Autumn in My Heart. Even if they hadn't watched this popular TV series, it was inevitable to see Lu Chun's name in entertainment news and online topics. In addition, the recent rumors of Lu Chun and Chen Feier's love affair with a younger brother had spread far and wide. So some people associated him with idol stars and ignored him as the original creator of In the Spring, Fly Higher, and other works. So if Lu Chun's performance on the scene was not good, there must be people who would take pleasure in his misfortune. 72H was a world of strength. Lu Chun felt the pressure from the challengers and the audience, and he was fearless. Lu Chun stood here today, not to prove anything or show off to others, but to realize the dream he once had. He had no urgency to become famous, and he didn't need to challenge anyone. There was really no pressure. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lu Chun. Facing the microphone, Lu Chun first made a simple introduction. With me is the Nirvana band. Wang Jing and others got up and saluted, and sparse applause sounded under the stage. No one had heard of the band's name, and the applause was purely polite. Some people were screaming. Those were Lu Chen's die-hard fans. Lu Chen didn't care and continued. Today I will bring you the first work called Free as the Wind. As soon as his voice fell, the prelude played by the bass suddenly sounded and was transmitted to everyone's ears through the 6 pairs of high-quality outdoor sound systems arranged at the scene. The next moment, the intense drumbeat hit people's eardrums, making people's blood boil. I'm as free as the wind, just like your gentleness can't be retained. You push away my outstretched hands, you go, you better not look back, endless drifting, the desire for freedom. Bear all the vicissitudes alone. I give you gentleness but you refuse to accept it. I give you the real feeling of my hands, I give you the long memory of freedom, I give you everything but I can't stay. I'm as free as the wind. Oh! As one of the most popular singers in 72H, Lu Chen's work has always been one of the hot topics in the small circle. Many people think that he will sing his famous works. This is the safest way to do it. After all, a person's inspiration is always limited. No singer can guarantee that their works will be excellent. If they don't get the fans' approval with their new works, it will undoubtedly be a blow to Lu Chen's rising reputation. Singing his own original songs is not shameful, and it is safe enough. It must be known that 72H fans are very picky. Lu Chen solved the suspense in many people's hearts with a brand new work. The name of this song is Free as the Wind. Simple and straightforward lyrics, without any esoteric and complex connotations or metaphors. Even without the lyrics prompt on the background screen, anyone can hear it clearly. This is the consistent characteristic of Lu Chen's light rock works. And the melody is still so wonderful and outstanding. It's just that in terms of style, Free as the Wind doesn't have the vicissitudes of In the Spring, the passion of Fly Higher, and it doesn't have the loneliness of Blue Lotus. This song is unruly to the bone. Note: Free as the Wind lyricist/composer, Su Wei. Chapter 327. Many of the singers and bands that participated in the 72H Grass Music Festival had the desire to achieve their dreams. They stood on this stage that advocated freedom and tolerance, and did their best to show their talent and energy to the audience. Because among the tens of thousands of audience, there was no lack of representatives from entertainment agencies. Once they were selected by a powerful company, it was possible for them to soar into the sky and step into the glittering mainstream circle. It was the efforts of these singers and bands that made 72H have always been full of vitality and become a very influential event in the domestic pop music industry. But not all singers came to be famous. For example, Wuxia. Although 72H's stage was very big, it was able to invite him to the stage without paying any price because Wuxia had deep feelings for this music festival. Feelings were priceless. As for Lu Chen, the reason why Lu Chen appeared on 72H's stage was to fulfill his wish. So he didn't have any pressure. He sang because he wanted to. This song, Free Like the Wind, sang his unruly and carefree nature. It was his understanding of his own life. Perhaps Free Like the Wind wasn't as classic as In the Spring, Blue Lotus, and Chasing Dreams with a Pure Heart, but it was precisely because of Lu Chen's carefreeness that he performed this song almost perfectly. He hugged his guitar and faced the tens of thousands of audience members. He sang in the wind and roared to his heart's content. Endless drifting, the desire for freedom. Bear all the vicissitudes alone. I give you gentleness but you refuse to accept it. I'm free like the wind. The simple lyrics and melody were repeated twice, each time with a different feeling. And now the audience very naturally and comfortably accepted this song. It wasn't heavy, extreme, or angry, but it sang to the bottom of people's hearts and sang the feelings of youth. Who didn't have a youth? I'm free like the wind, just like your gentleness that can't be held back. When Lu Chen sang the same passage for the third time, there were already many audience members singing along with the synchronized lyrics displayed on the big screen on the stage. I'm free like the wind. There was no distinction between the stage and the audience. The atmosphere of the music festival was pushed to a new climax. This was the live resonance that many singers who participated in 72H dreamed of. Lu Chen had done it easily and casually. In the backstage area, Liao Jia, who heard the climax of the chorus, waved his fist and applauded hard. This little brother of his was not just for show. He was going to lose tonight's bet. On the other hand, Gang, who was standing beside the stage, had a bitter smile on his face. He had spent 10 years sharpening his sword to come up with a work that he had poured his blood, sweat, and tears into, hoping to amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. However, whether it was City of Loneliness or Wound, they paled in comparison to Lu Chen's song. Gang wasn't deluded enough to think that his work wasn't worse than Lu Chen's. Lining up before Lu Chen was such a mistake. After Lu Chen's first work, Free as the Wind, was sung, the whole audience applauded, mixed with sharp whistles. Even those fans who still had prejudices against him had to admit that this was a very good work. It didn't meet the requirements of a classic, but on today's stage, it was absolutely outstanding. Coming up with such a work also proved Lu Chen's sincerity. To put it bluntly, a singer and songwriter like him could sell hundreds of thousands of yuan with a casual song. And there was no remuneration for 72H's performance, whether it was a big shot in the circle or an unknown singer. Thank you, everyone. Lu Chen bowed to the audience, then turned to the members of the Nirvana band behind him and said, "Thank you, Nirvana band." Wang Jing waved her left hand at him, and Chen Jiong raised the drumstick in his hand and made a fancy gesture in response. The 4 young members of the Nirvana band were very excited. It was their first time to participate in 72H's performance. Performing in front of such a large audience, they all went all out just now. Although the current Nirvana band is far from being compared with those veteran bands, and their skills and perception of music are not deep enough, it is precisely because they are young that they have unlimited growth potential. Lu Chen continued. The second song is also a new song, and it's also the first time I've performed it in public. Hearing Lu Chen's words, many audiences became excited. Originally, many people thought that Lu Chen would bring a new work and an old song to everyone in the evening just like Liao Jia, but they didn't expect him to come up with 2 new works. It was really an unexpected surprise. Generally speaking, if a singer of 72H comes up with 2 works, the second one is often stronger than the first one. The name of this song is Free as a Dream. When the name of the song appeared on the big screen on the stage, countless audiences couldn't help but let out a cry of surprise. At first, they thought they saw it wrong or the backstage computer control display was wrong, but when they took a closer look, they found that it was really called Free as a Dream, which was only 1 word different from Lu Chen's first song. What kind of joke was this? For a time there was a lot of discussion under the stage, and everyone didn't understand what Lu Chen was selling. 2 songs, only 1 word different. Lu Chen didn't explain and made a gesture to the Nirvana band. The prelude sounded, "Will you still miss me, my dearest friend, when I decide to let go of everything, go up the road to freedom? Will you still be with me, my most missed family, have said goodbye to yesterday, driving to the road to the future?" Oh! The first part was mainly accompanied by guitar, and the inquiring lyrics with a trace of sadness and melancholy, which were sung by Lu Chen, unfolded to the people a picture of parting. But then the unfolding chorus entered the climax, and the melody suddenly became passionate and enthusiastic. I want to be free as a dream, strong as the sky on this winding road, experience the meaning of life. Oh! As Lu Chen raised the scale, the theme of the work was suddenly sublimated, majestic and full of the brave attitude of pursuing freedom. The audience at the scene had a feeling of being hit in the heart in an instant, and at the same time, it inspired everyone's yearning for freedom and the pursuit and desire of a better life. Because the road has a boundless heart, temporarily put down the busy and hurried life, to experience the pleasure of galloping freely in the wilderness, to untie the heavy shackles of the mind, and to find the true self. Life needs to be settled. Occasionally emptying yourself. Maybe you can find a more reasonable explanation? Who knows, we are still on the road. Let that free heart be willfully exiled. The realization that this song brings to people is far more than that. Will you still be with me, my most missed family, have said goodbye to yesterday, driving to the road to the future. I want to be free as a dream, tolerant as the earth, on this difficult road of exile. Light up the light of life. Freedom, spontaneity, pioneer creation. This is the theme of the 72H Grass Music Festival, and the spirit of freedom has always run through the rise and decline of national rock. These 2 works created by Lu Chen in the name of freedom have undoubtedly touched the deepest and truest feelings of the fans and singers at the scene. Whether it is Free as the Wind or Free as a Dream, they are not the kind of rock works in the pure sense, But the spirit of freedom contained in these two songs is beyond the reach of many pure rock songs. This has made many people reflect on whether the so-called rebellious, extreme, and even antisocial rock spirit they have been pursuing is precisely one of the important reasons for the decline of national rock. Rock songs can also be free, progressive, and sunny. Perhaps this is the reason why Liu Chan brought these two works to 72H. Thinking of his other works such as In the Spring and Blue Lotus, many singers fell into deep thought. At this moment, all the light gathered on Liu Chen's body. He is like the wind, like a dream, free and unruly. Lost. Liao Jia, who was in the backstage area, laughed and turned to the singers present and said, "Tomorrow night, come to the Dihao Hotel. I'll treat everyone to a drink." Brother Liao naturally kept his word. He couldn't do anything shameless. If he lost to Liu Chan, he had to treat. He was willing. Next to the stage, Gang shook his head helplessly. There is no comparison, there is really no comparison. He is convinced. After singing the second song, Free as a Dream, Liu Chan took a step back and then bowed deeply. Fine beads of sweat seeped out of his forehead, glimmering under the illumination of the light. His eyes were bright and full of spirit. Applause, warm, sincere, and enthusiastic applause, like a spring thunder, and then endless, set off an invisible storm at the scene of Wild Mountain Park. Free as the wind, free as a dream. Liu Chan proved his strength with these two freedom songs and conquered tens of thousands of fans at the scene. The applause he received was well-deserved. Good. Sing one more song. Many fans shouted loudly and waved their arms with all their might, trying to attract the attention of Liu Chan on the stage. Go. Someone roared, and then others seemed to wake up from a dream and followed suit, shouting, "Go! Go! Go! Go!" All the voices converged into one voice, which was the voice that urged Liu Chan to stay and begged him to return to the stage. Liu Chan stopped and bowed again. Thank you. It was not the first time he had felt the enthusiasm of fans, nor was it the first time he had enjoyed the cheers from fans, nor was it the first time he had been asked to stay by fans. However, here at the scene with tens of thousands of fans on the scene, it was so different. They were true fans of pop music. The things they stuck to and persisted in might not be understood by others, but their love was so sincere. To be able to get their recognition, love, and pursuit was a real glory. Note: Free as a Dream lyricist/composer. Wang Feng. Chapter 328. At the request of thousands of fans, Liu Chan returned to sing the third song. But instead of coming up with a new work, he sang a folk song of his own. The Bright Times of Youth. Because the mood of the audience has been stirred up by his first two songs, if he sings that kind of intense and high-spirited work again, it is hard to say what unnecessary trouble it will cause. It should be known that there are at least 20,000 fans gathered in Wild Mountain Park. Although not all of them gathered in front of the big stage, it is still quite an amazing number. Once a fan loses control of his emotions and does something irrational, it is easy to cause serious consequences. That's what no one wants to see. Paying attention to controlling the emotions of fans is also one of the requirements of the Music Festival Organizing Committee for singers. The soothing melody and nostalgic folk song undoubtedly appeases the fans, calms down their boiling blood and makes their emotions return to normal. In fact, this is very comfortable to listen to, like the comfort after a climax with the pleasure of tension and relaxation. After singing this song, The Bright Times of Youth, Liu Chan left with the Nirvana band in the applause of the whole audience, leaving the stage to the latecomers. The night is long and the music carnival has just begun, but for Liu Chan, his performance is over. Of course, his former wishes and dreams have also been fully satisfied. Good singing. Backstage, Liao Jia clenched his fist and punched Liu Chan on the shoulder. The song is good. I lost. Liu Chan touched his nose and said, Brother Liao Jia, actually what? Liao Jia's eyes widened like copper bells and he asked angrily, Do you want to say that I'm the kind of person who doesn't keep his word? All right. Liu Chan was convinced. Liao Jia turned angry into happy, patted him on the shoulder and said, Tomorrow night, Dihao Hotel, you all come. He said the last sentence to the members of Nirvana. Wang Jing and others felt flattered. This is Liao Jia, a real idol-level big brother. Then the singers in the backstage area, whether they knew each other or not, came up to shake hands and say hello to Liu Chan. After witnessing Lu Chen's strength with their own eyes, their attitudes changed greatly. Of course, the excuse that everyone used to get close to Lu Chen was to thank Lu Chen for helping them earn a big meal. The place where Liao Jia treated them was the 5-star Imperial Grand Hotel. For a time, the atmosphere in the backstage area was very harmonious. "Hello, Lu Chen." Just at this time, a man in his 30s strode in front of Lu Chen and extended his hand to him. Lu Chen quickly reached out and shook hands with him. "Hello, Brother Gongzi." The man was the lead singer of Wednesday's band Swordsmanship. He was surprised. "You know me?" Lu Chen smiled and said, "Brother Liao Jia told me." Liao Jia, who was chatting with others next to him, turned his head and said to Swordsmanship, "Gangzi, let's go for a drink tonight." Swordsmanship quickly replied, "Okay, Brother Liao." Whether it was in the past or now, Liao Jia was the person he looked up to and admired. Liao Jia invited him to go out for a drink, which was really giving him face. The two originally didn't have such a friendship. Liao Jia smiled and said, "You also sang well tonight." Swordsmanship's face was red, not because of shyness, but because of excitement. After calming down, he asked Lu Chen, "Lu Chen, can I talk to you?" Lu Chen nodded and said, "Of course." The two sat down in the corner backstage, and the others didn't disturb them. Swordsmanship rubbed his hands and asked, "Lu Chen, I want to ask, did your studio sign anyone?" "Sign anyone?" Lu Chen was stunned. "What do you mean?" Swordsmanship said calmly, "If you are willing, I want to sign Wednesday's band to your studio." Lu Chen was stunned. He didn't expect that Swordsmanship actually wanted to go to his studio. Wednesday's band was not a nobody. Although it had long been outdated, it was still quite important in the eyes of some fans. Moreover, tonight's performance was very good, and there was a trend of a comeback. He believed that many entertainment agencies would be happy to sign such a mature band with a foundation. Lu Chen was regretful. "Brother Gang, I'm really sorry, but I don't have the idea of signing anyone for the time being." He had just acquired Nirvana Studios and already had a band. In addition, the focus of his work was there, so it was impossible to sign another band, even if the other party had great potential. Swordsmanship was not surprised by Lu Chen's refusal. He just wanted to give it a try. Today's Swordsmanship was no longer the artistic youth of the past. The ups and downs of life made him deeply understand the importance of opportunities. Whether it was for himself or for his brothers, he had to be responsible. This time, Swordsmanship was going to take Wednesday's band to take root in Beijing again, and then he would not leave. In his opinion, Lu Chen's studio was a good choice. Swordsmanship had an understanding of Lu Chen. He was very clear about the latter's creative talent and ability to create stars. If he could get the support of this musical genius, Wednesday's band would have a great future. Speaking of which, Swordsmanship was also called a musical genius, but compared with Lu Chen, he was really far behind. That's a pity. I hope there will be opportunities for cooperation in the future. Swordsmanship said very sincerely. Lu Chen's heart moved and he said, "Brother Gang, let me recommend you a record company." Swordsmanship's eyes lit up. "Which company?" Lu Chen said. "Flying Stone Records." He felt that the style and positioning of Flying Stone Records should be very suitable for Wednesday's band. Of course, Swordsmanship knew Flying Stone Records, but he said with a wry smile, "I'm afraid Flying Stone Records won't look up to us, right?" Flying Stone Records used to be the leader of the domestic record industry. It once declined, but now it has revived and restored some of its peak strength. At present, it is also one of the big shots in the industry. In contrast, the weight of Wednesday's band was inevitably insufficient. They were more willing to train newcomers. Lu Chen said with a smile, "I have a good relationship with Lin Jijia, the music director of Flying Stone Records. I'll introduce you to each other. How do you know if there's a chance if you don't try?" Swordsmanship thanked. "Lu Chen, thank you." In fact, he had nothing to do with Lu Chen. It was the first time the two met. Lu Chen was willing to help introduce Lin Jijia, which really made him very grateful. In the entertainment industry, human relations were as thin as paper, and it was rare to have warm-hearted people. Lu Chen simply took out his phone. "I'll call Brother Lin now and see if he has time." The phone was quickly connected, and Lin Jijia was really free in the evening. So Lu Chen simply called Liao Jia, Wednesday's band and his own Nirvana band to go out to find a place to have a midnight snack. And by the way, introduce Lin Jijia. Leaving Wild Mountain Park, the 72H Grass Music Festival was already a thing of the past for Lu Chan. Chapter 329. When Lu Chan returned to Zicheng, it was already after 11 o'clock in the evening. This midnight snack lasted more than 2 hours. Liao Jia deserved to be a famous glutton in the circle. The nearby places were all first-class private restaurants, and more than a dozen people just made up a table. Lin Jijia also came not only because of Lu Chan but also because he and Liao Jia were friends and it was just a chance to meet. As for Shi Gang, Lin Jijia was still very interested. At present, Flying Stone Records was expanding its strength, and it had signed a lot of newcomers. Like Wednesday's band, as long as they had good works, they could also enter their sites. Of course, such a thing as signing people was not something that Lin Jijia could decide alone. It needed further investigation and discussion, because it involved a lot of specific details. For Shi Gang, it was already very lucky to be able to get in touch with Lin Jijia, a senior executive of Flying Stone Records. No matter whether he could be signed to Flying Stone Records in the end, he owed Lu Chan a big favor. So everyone was very happy in the evening. During the dinner, Lu Chan was forced to drink by several big brothers. In the end, he asked Wang Jing to drive him back. She was the only one who didn't drink. According to Lu Chen's instructions, he drove to Building 7. Wang Jing asked, "Do you want me to send you up?" Lu Chan rubbed his eyebrows and said, "No, you can drive the car away. Just drive it back to the studio tomorrow." Although he drank a lot of wine, he was not drunk enough to go home. Wang Jing hesitated for a moment, nodded and said, "Okay. See you tomorrow." "Thank you." Lu Chan smiled at her and said, "It's late. Drive carefully and slowly." With that, Lu Chan opened the door and got out of the car. Wang Jing watched his figure disappear from her sight. She sighed softly and then drove away. Swiping the door card to open the elevator, Lu Chan went straight to the 17th floor. When he got home, he took out his keys and opened the door. After entering, he turned on the lights. Squinting his eyes to adjust to the bright light, Lu Chan took off his thick coat and threw it on the sofa. "Why are you back so late?" Just as he was about to go to the bathroom to take a hot shower, he suddenly heard a pleasant voice. Lu Chan couldn't help but jump in fright. He instinctively turned his head and saw a beautiful woman standing at the door of the master bedroom, rubbing her sleepy eyes. "Chun Fair." Lu Chan felt like he was bungee jumping. He quickly walked over and asked, "When did you come back?" As he asked, Lu Chan opened his arms and hugged her hard in his arms. Chun Fair was wearing a set of pink cotton pajamas from Hello Kitty. Her sleepy appearance had the cuteness of a young girl. When Lu Chan smelled her unique fragrance, all the fatigue in his body disappeared. Since the last time they returned to Beijing, the two hadn't had a good time together. 2 days ago, Chun Fair was shooting a commercial in another city. He didn't expect to give him a big surprise at night. Lu Chan couldn't help but kiss her on the face. Felt really good. Hugging her was like hugging the whole world. There was nothing else to ask for. Chun Fair woke up and said with a smile, "I just came back at night and ran over here." "You?" She suddenly wrinkled her little nose and sniffed. Her pretty face showed a look of disgust. "How much wine did you drink?" Lu Chan smiled and lowered his head to kiss her lips. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. The two had just broken through their relationship not long ago. Now was the time for adultery, and Lu Chan was definitely a very, very strong man. However, before he could taste the fragrance, his mouth was blocked by Chun Fair's hand. The latter said coquettishly, "It stinks. Don't pollute me. Go brush your teeth and take a bath." Lu Chan could only let go of her hand. "Good boy," Chun Fair said with a smile. "I'll wait for you in bed." She said this sentence softly, and her eyes were so charming that water was about to drip out. She was extremely charming. Chun Fair was already a mature woman. After experiencing human affairs, she exuded an amazing charm. That kind of amorous feeling from the inside out made her charm increase exponentially. The so-called natural beauty was nothing more than this. Lu Chan was dumbfounded. After a while, he couldn't help but roar and rushed into the bathroom like a whirlwind. After brushing his teeth and taking a bath as fast as he could, Lu Chan put on a bathrobe and returned to the bedroom. The ceiling light in the bedroom had already been turned off. Only the small frosted table lamp on the bedside table was still emitting a dim yellow light, dimly illuminating the large bed. He could see a graceful figure bulging out from under the loose duvet. Lu Chan resisted the love and desire in his heart and couldn't wait to get into the warm quilt. The next moment, a hot and fragrant female body leaned over and clung tightly to Lu Chen's chest. A pair of jade-like arms hugged his neck, and a charming whisper sounded in his ear. "Love me." As if adding oil to the fire, Lu Chan could no longer suppress the impulse in his heart. He growled and pressed the person in his arms under his body. The bedroom was suddenly filled with the tide of spring, and the waves were rolling. He completely forgot that he was in the human world. Early in the morning, Lu Chan woke up to the crisp chirping of birds. There was a large park near Zicheng Garden. As a high-end community, the green environment inside and outside the community was excellent. Therefore, it was inevitable that many birds would linger around and build nests. They would sing early in the morning and look for food, waking up people who were sleeping. When he opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was a beautiful picture of a beautiful woman sleeping in spring. Chun Feier was still sleeping soundly. Her black hair was scattered, and there was a smile on her lips. In the faint morning light, she looked like a muse. Of course, she was naked. Lu Chan was stunned for a moment. His memory gradually recovered, and he finally confirmed that he was not dreaming. Thinking of the love and affection last night, he couldn't help but be tempted, probably because she felt the pressure from Lu Chan. Chanver woke up with a moan. Lu Chan lowered his head and kissed her neck. "You're so annoying." Chun Feier giggled. She couldn't help but be entangled with him, and the result was out of control. In the end, Lu Chan saw that she really had no strength and was begging for mercy, so he reluctantly let her go. Chan Fei used the last bit of her strength to pinch him and said in a sweet voice, "I still have work today." Lu Chan smiled and kissed her back. He got up in high spirits. It was rare that he didn't go out to exercise in the morning. Instead, he went to the kitchen to find the ingredients in the fridge and made a hearty breakfast himself. There were poached eggs, porridge, fried bacon. Chun Fei also woke up and came to the kitchen in her pajamas. She hugged Lu Chan from behind and leaned her face on his broad and strong back. She murmured, "Say, let's do this every day, okay?" Lu Chan put down the shovel, turned around and hugged her in his arms. He smiled and said, "Of course I don't have a problem with that." Chun Feier pouted and sighed helplessly. She enjoyed living alone with Lu Chan, but if she wanted to do this every day, she would have to give up her career. This wasn't what she wanted, at least for now. So what she said just now was just a casual remark. Lu Chan saw through everything. He held back his laughter and said, "Actually, you don't have to do this every day. As long as you need it, I will accompany you anytime for free. Eat, chat, and sleep with you. What do you think?" "That's nice." Chun Feier was amused by him, and the depressed mood just now suddenly disappeared. Lu Chan smiled and said, "Let's eat breakfast." The two of them sweetly and affectionately ate a heartwarming breakfast together. It was almost 10 o'clock when they finished eating. Chun Feier wiped her mouth with a napkin and began to clean up the plates. She asked casually, "Who did you drink with so late last night?" Lu Chan. He thought that this matter was already over. He didn't expect that Chun Feier would still remember it. Chun Feier snorted and said, "Even if you don't tell me, I know. Liao Jia must have dragged her there, right?" Although Chun Feier didn't participate in 72H, she still knew a lot of things. Lu Chan smiled bitterly and said, "Brother Jijia was there too." He knew that Chun Feier didn't like Liao Jia very much. Of course, he didn't like it when Liao Jia dragged him to drink. In fact, it wasn't many times. Chun Feier said coquettishly, "Don't use Brother Jijia as a shield. Don't hang out with Liao Jia in the future. He's good at eating, drinking, whoring, and gambling. Won't you learn bad things from him?" Lu Chan smiled bitterly. Chun Feier said seriously, "I don't object to you making friends like Brother Tan and Brother Lin. They are all very good, but it's better to hang out with some people and drink less. There are too many people in the circle who make mistakes because of drinking." Lu Chan surrendered. "I know." He knew that Chun Feier was doing this for his own good. Chun Feier continued, "Don't go out these days. I want to finish the new album." Lu Chan said solemnly, "Yes, my dear wife." Chun Feier's pretty face suddenly blushed. She spat and said, "Who's your wife? You're still in the probation period. Be careful that I don't kick you at any time." Lu Chun wasn't afraid and said, "I'm still in the probation period? Then I'll have to work harder tonight." Hearing his teasing, Chanfair was so embarrassed that she couldn't even raise her head. She reached out and pinched him hard. Ring, ring, ring. The two of them were laughing and joking when the phone on the coffee table in the living room suddenly rang. Lu Chun had no choice but to let go of Chanfair and ran over to pick up the phone. It was Lu Shi who called him. Lu Chun hung up after saying a few words to his sister. Chanfair saw that his expression was a little strange. She couldn't help but walk over and ask, "What's wrong?" Lu Chun said, "My sister has negotiated with SPG." SPG was the SPG Entertainment Company in South Korea. Recently, SPG had been negotiating with Lu Chun's studio about the import of Autumn in My Heart. Because SPG's conditions were relatively harsh, it was very difficult for Lu Shi to negotiate with the representative of SPD, Pu Yong-ho. She didn't expect that there would be a result this morning. Of course, Chanfair knew about this. She was surprised. Really? How much did SPD offer? 1 billion won. Chapter 330. SPG's negotiations had come to an end. When it came to the signing of the contract, Lu Chun had to appear personally. Moreover, Chanfair had work to complete, so their sweet time was destined to be short-lived. The official signing of the contract was in the afternoon. Initially, Lu Shi had been arguing with SPG, sticking to her own bottom line. There was still a huge difference between the two parties. Now that the situation had taken a turn for the worse, of course there was a reason. It was because KG Entertainment had contacted Lu Chun's studio. KG and SPG were both famous entertainment agencies in South Korea. They were on par with each other and had a large number of celebrities under them. They also had offices in Beijing. Due to their similar status in business, the competition between the two parties had always been fierce. KG's sudden involvement in the introduction of Autumn in My Heart inevitably aroused SPG's vigilance. Perhaps SPG did not place much importance on this TV series at first, but the situation was completely different now. No matter what, Pu Zhenghao would not be willing to let KG steal the peaches. This was equivalent to a slap in the face. Therefore, Pu Zhenghao's attitude quickly softened, and he no longer insisted on investing in Lu Chun's new TV series. This was the biggest difference between the two parties. South Koreans were the same as Japanese. They had a very typical island mentality. They were very good at small details and liked to calculate, but they lacked the big picture and strategic thinking. SPG did not think that the TV series Autumn in My Heart would bring them much benefits after it was introduced into South Korea. They wanted to use this as a springboard to get a foot in the increasingly popular domestic film and television market. Lu Chun's studio, which did not have a strong background, was undoubtedly a very good partner to work with. But SPG was too greedy. Back when they were filming Autumn in My Heart, Lu Chun was still a nobody in the film and television industry. He wanted to find a partner to work with, and had to use Chanfair's popularity to promote. Now, he did not even need to deliberately spread the word that a lot of people were waving money at him to work with. Because Autumn in My Heart had created a miracle in the ratings, the possibility of Lu Chun's new TV series losing money was too low. Who wouldn't want to get involved in an investment that was almost 100% profitable? But for Lu Chun's studio, this part of the benefits would never be easily released. Even if it was shared with others, the premise was to ensure that they could win more benefits. The Koreans' way of thinking was laughable. Now that Chang Yaojin appeared out of nowhere, Pu Zhenghao finally realized that his bargaining chips were too few, so he decisively changed the terms of cooperation and quickly restarted the negotiation with Lu Shi. Initially, from the studio's perspective, waiting for SPG and KG to fight was the best choice. However, it was naive to expect two large Korean entertainment agencies to cut their own flesh and bleed to the point of bloodshed in the country. They weren't that stupid. Therefore, after weighing the pros and cons and seeing SPG's true sincerity, Lu Shi did not use any delaying tactics and finalized the final agreement with Pu Zhenghao. It wouldn't be good for Lu Chun's studio if this matter dragged on for too long, because the studio's next step was to develop a new drama. The promotion of Blue in Korea was mainly to increase its reputation and status. 1 billion won was only 5.6 million renminbi when converted to RMB. In addition, SPG agreed to import Liu Chen's new drama into Korea at the same time. In return, Chinese artists under SPG would star in the new drama. This kind of cooperation was beneficial to both parties. Liu Chen's studio would be able to enter the Korean market as it wished, and SPG would be able to do something in the domestic film industry. Once the signed artists became popular because of their new drama, the benefits would be huge. At 2 p.m., at SPG's Beijing office, Liu Chen and Pu Zhenghao signed the official contract. SPG was very influential. They actually invited a cultural counselor from the Korean embassy in China to attend the ceremony. In addition, there were many Beijing media reporters present, making the signing ceremony simple and grand. After the signing ceremony, Liu Chen accepted an interview from the media and answered some related questions. That afternoon, Liu Chen Studio's official account released the news. Autumn in My Heart was confirmed to be introduced into South Korea, and the copyright transaction price was as high as 1 billion won. There were also many pictures in the blog post, including photos of Liu Chen and Pu Zhenghao shaking hands with the Korean cultural counselor, as well as the scene of him being interviewed by the media. As soon as this news was released, it immediately caused a lot of sensation inside and outside the circle. At present, Autumn in My Heart has been removed from QQ Video, but the replay on Beijing television and Zhejiang satellite TV is still very popular. When the comprehensive ratings are not less than 2.5%, it shows a strong attraction. Online broadcasts and 2TV broadcasts have cultivated a large number of Blue fans. The number of members following the official tieba of Autumn in My Heart has exceeded 1 million, and related discussion topics have always been in full swing. So now when fans know that Blue will be broadcast in South Korea, it is a surprise and they all feel proud. For a long time, it has been Japanese and Korean TV series and variety shows that have been introduced into China in large numbers, especially Korean TV series, which has always been one of the representatives of the Korean wave, forming a great impact on domestic TV series, especially idol dramas. Although the current situation has improved, and domestic TV audiences are gradually tired of idol dramas, the ratings of imported Korean TV series are quite good. In contrast, there are only a handful of Chinese dramas that have returned to Japan and South Korea, mainly historical dramas and adaptation of famous works. It is rare for an urban romance drama like Autumn in My Heart to break into the South Korean market. And even if it does break in with great difficulty, the ratings are terrible, and it is nothing more than a hype topic. The success of Autumn in My Heart has undoubtedly brightened people's eyes. The price of 1 billion won is not very high, but it has also created a new record for the export of the same type of drama. Moreover, Blue fans are also full of confidence that Blue will definitely be successful in South Korea. But not everyone is a Blue fan, and not everyone believes that Blue will definitely be successful. Some people in the Waves blog question that this is the mutual hype between Liu Chen Studio and SPG, and the transaction amount is seriously watered down. Some people are not optimistic about the trip of Blue to South Korea, thinking that it will fail like other Chinese dramas. Among these doubters, there are many big verified accounts and small verified accounts. Ever since Liu Chen and Chen Feier's relationship was made public, there have been many strange voices on the internet. Perhaps it is because Liu Chen has been too popular recently, and there are always people who can't stand it. The appearance of Autumn in My Heart in the Korean TV market was undoubtedly a good opportunity for these people to attack. Chapter 331. Before Autumn in My Heart, there was a domestic TV series that was imported to Korea called Lover's Lies. It was a typical youth idol TV series. The main actors were new mainland artists trained by Korean entertainment companies. The producers were all big shots in the domestic industry. At that time, Lover's Lies had an average rating of 1.85% in the domestic market. It was considered a popular drama. The male and female leads became famous overnight. When it was imported to Korea, it was hyped up and was called a counterattack against the Korean wave. At that time, the producers were full of ambition. They even shouted the slogan of revitalizing the domestic TV series and returning to Japan and Korea. It made the fans' blood boil, and they were looking forward to the performance of this idol drama in Korea. In the end, Lover's Lies had a mediocre response after it was broadcasted on Korea's cultural broadcasting station, which was also known as MBC. The ratings were less than 2% and it was quickly moved to non-prime time. It did not even cause a ripple. MBC was the second largest TV station in Korea. Different from domestic standards, ratings of less than 2% were considered a serious flop. There was no need to save it. It was directly sent to the crematorium. When the news reached China, the producers of Lovers' Lies quietly stopped hyping it. The online water army disappeared instantly and became a joke in the industry. With Lovers' Lies as an example, it was normal that Autumn in My Heart was not looked upon favorably. On Wave's blog, there was a verified account with the ID Entertainment face view. He sneered in his blog post, "Nowadays celebrities are generally very arrogant. When they are singers and shoot TV shows, they can't wait to go abroad to gild their reputation. They hire a bunch of water armies and boast loudly. In the end they get slapped in the face. Why bother? Isn't it better to keep a low profile and be humble?" Entertainment face view had more than 10 million fans on Wave's blog. He specialized in commenting on gossip news and celebrities in the entertainment industry. He was known for his sharp writing and vicious tongue. He had many fans. There were many celebrities who had been attacked by this verified account. Moreover, he was very particular in choosing his targets. Basically, he would destroy whoever was popular and ignore those who were outdated or not famous. It catered to the psychology of a portion of people. And recently on the blog, the most popular young artist is none other than Lu Chan. It was just that Lu Chen's image had always been good, and it was not easy to find fault with him. This time, the news released by Lu Chen's studio could be regarded as a target for some people. Many people agreed with the idea of looking at all aspects of entertainment, but it was also countered by Lu Chen's fans. "I'm so sour that my teeth are about to fall off. Isn't it a good thing that Autumn in My Heart was imported into Korea? Sour. It hasn't even been broadcast yet, and you already know that you're going to be slapped in the face? Are you a fortune teller? Say that Lu Chan is full of himself? Who do you think you are? Hihi I Chan am not low profile and humble enough? Why couldn't he say such a good thing? I knew someone would be jealous. Have you read Autumn in My Heart? If you haven't seen it, please shut up. Scram scram." Lu Chan had only debuted for less than a year, but he had already cultivated a group of loyal fans, especially Lu Jiajun, who was the core of the fan club. Although the founder, Lee Mubai, was basically in a retired state, but relying on the official support, it had become more and more regular, and its fighting power was not what it used to be. Not long after the blog post of looking at all aspects of entertainment was published, his comment section was flooded. However, a blogger like him was never afraid of quarreling. He immediately replied to Lu Chen's fans. Lu Sun said that insulting and threatening is not a battle. I am deeply disappointed with the quality of Lu Chen's fans, and I also hope that Mr. Lu Chan can control his fans. At the same time, he also Lu Chan FMX and put on a fighting stance. There were all kinds of people on the blog. The quality of Lu Chen's fans was not bad, but it was inevitable that some people would curse and say some dirty words in the comments, and some of them were deliberately fanning the flames with bad intentions. Looking at all aspects of entertainment, deliberately picked out these comments in Lu Chan, its intentions could be imagined. His supporters took the opportunity to join the battle, and launched a fierce battle with Lu Chen's fans on the blog. Therefore, the war provoked on the Waves blog inevitably spread to Lu Chan. For a long time, Lu Chen did not like to argue with others on the blog. His personal blog was often managed by Lu Shi, and the blog posts basically did not involve the right and wrong of the circle. As a well-known artist, even if he won, he would be stained with shame. It was not worth it at all. However, this time it involved his fans, and the other party showed such blatant malice. In addition, the direction of the wind was obviously not in the right direction. Lu Chen felt that he had to stand up and speak, otherwise, he would disappoint countless fans. Everyone was supporting him. If he did not say a word, wouldn't he be laughed at? Of course, Lu Chan would not step into the trap set by looking at all aspects of entertainment. He directly ignored this guy and sent a new blog post to all his fans. In this blog post titled "Touched Forever," thank you. In the blog post, Lu Chan wrote, "On behalf of myself and Lu Chen Studio, I would like to thank all my fans who have supported me. You are the cutest and most amiable people in the world. Without your love, I would not be able to achieve what I have today. In order to express my gratitude, I would like to announce a very important decision here. As long as the average ratings of Autumn in My Heart in South Korea reach 10%, then 1,000 fans will be selected from the support group and each fan will be given a 3-day, 2-night Korean happy package. If it exceeds 10%, it will be calculated according to the actual ratings. If it is 11%, it will be 1,100. There will be no upper limit. Some people will definitely say that 10% is so high, and that you, Luchan, are completely empty words. There is no way you can fulfill it. But I firmly believe that Autumn in My Heart is an outstanding TV series. If it can win in China, it will also be successful in South Korea. Anything less than 10% is not within the scope of consideration. Please wait and see. Once this long blog post was published, it immediately caused a huge sensation among the fans and the industry. 10% was not considered very high for the average ratings of Korean TVB TV series. It was considered to be below average. The popular TV series of the three major TVB TV stations were generally between 20 to 30%, and it was not uncommon for the so-called national TV series to have 40% and above. But for a foreign TV series, and one that was imported from China, 10% was a very high target. Autumn in My Heart was an urban romance TV series. Luchan's blog post was tantamount to forcing himself into a corner. If the ratings of Autumn in My Heart didn't reach 10%, then his declaration would become a joke, and his face would be completely lost. While the fans were surprised, they were also stimulated by Luchan's ambition to make their blood boil. Tien. There was also the exciting lucky draw. South Korea had always been a hot destination for overseas travel. A 3-day, 2-night Korean happy package cost around 5,000 yuan. Even if it was a large group purchase, it would cost at least 3,500 yuan. According to Luchan's decision, if the average ratings of Autumn in My Heart reached 10%, it would mean that he would have to fork out 3 to 4 million yuan to give back to the fans. It was definitely a huge sum. How many celebrities had treated their fans so generously? My Chun is mighty. Target 10%, oh yeah. Haha. I'm so looking forward to it. Let's quickly broadcast Autumn in My Heart in South Korea. I really want to go to South Korea to play. Although I've been to South Korea twice, if I can get the lucky draw, I'm willing to go 10 more times. There's no need to say anything else. Big Luchan, we will always support you. Always support +1. Support. This time, no one cared about that big verified account's entertainment aspect anymore. The passionate fans flooded the comments section of Luchan's blog with all kinds of support and requests for him to get the lucky draw. What was interesting was that the number of fans of Luchan's Waves blog support group, Lu Jejun's Group V, had increased by more than 1 million in just a few hours. Through this incident, Luchan not only lightly resolved the malicious provocation of entertainment aspect, but also very well united the hearts of the fans, greatly enhanced the loyalty of the fans, and made himself a hot topic in the blog once again. Tien. Entertainment aspect, entertainment aspect, entertainment aspect, etc. It was undoubtedly an outstanding online marketing. If Luchan was the main character, then entertainment aspect had become the antagonist. He was probably angry because of this. Very quickly, he said on his blog, if the ratings of Autumn in My Heart exceed 10% in South Korea, I'll run naked on the streets. Entertainment aspect obviously wanted to continue hyping up, but unfortunately, the netizens were all experienced and knowledgeable. Everyone was used to seeing all kinds of people eating their keyboards and eating **t on the forums. Who would care if he ran naked or not? Therefore, other than a small number of fans who went to ridicule him, not many people added to his popularity. But the most interesting thing was yet to come. That night, Chanfair posted on her Waves blog, saying that if the average ratings of Autumn in My Heart reached 10% in South Korea, then she would pay out of her own pocket to upgrade the 3-day, 2-night happy tour package that Luchan had promised her fans to a 3-day, 2-night suite tour for 2 people. The happy tour was a single-player tour, and the group purchase price was at least 3,500, while the 2-player tour was at least 5,000 plus. Although the value did not double, the meaning was completely different. Of course, as a prerequisite, Luchan has to include her fans in the lucky draw crowd. Chun Fei's joining pushed the atmosphere of the blog war to a climax. Lu Chun and her fans were just like having a festival, talking and looking forward to it in blogs, post bars and forums. Tian. Lu Chun and her fans are in full swing. In such an atmosphere, the group of people led by entertainment aspect were completely crushed in terms of popularity. They could only waiting with Lu Chun and Chun Fei's fans. Waiting for the results of Autumn in My Heart, in South Korea. Chapter 332. My Fei is mighty. This is a blatant display of affection, but I like it. That's right. I knew it would be a public display of affection after their relationship was made public. The days of dog abuse have arrived. I'm thinking very seriously. What if I get a double date but don't have a girlfriend? If you don't have a girlfriend, you can find a gay friend. My Fei is indeed domineering, and your Chun is not bad either. Us fans are blessed. Everyone, go to SPG's official website and ask them to send Autumn in My Heart to the airwaves as soon as possible. Support my Chun, support my Fei. Ever since Lu Chun and Chun Fei's relationship was officially exposed, the fans had changed the way they addressed them. Lu Chun's fans like to call him my Chun, and Chun for your Fei. On the other hand, Chun Fei's fans called him my Fei, and your Chun. As for the two's common fans, they naturally called them my Chun, and my Fei. Currently, the number of common fans was increasing, and it was naturally very refreshing to see the two of them showing off their affection. Especially this time, the show of affection had caught everyone off guard. While everyone was feeling touched, they also went to SPG's official website and strongly requested SPG to send Blue to the Korean television station as soon as possible to broadcast it. Due to the limited number, domestic TV series that wanted to be broadcast in Korea were all handled by an entertainment agency like SPG. The latter had a long-term relationship with the three major Korean TV stations. SPG spent 1 billion won to import Autumn in My Heart. Although they had the intention of using Lu Chun's studio to speed up the expansion of the China market, they were also very willing to recoup their costs. Coupled with the strong request of Lu Chun and Chun Fei's fans, SPG immediately said that they would contact the Korean TV stations as soon as possible and strive to broadcast it on one of the three major TV stations as soon as possible. In order to shorten the time, SPG used an unconventional method for Autumn in My Heart. They did not redub it, but added bilingual subtitles on the basis of the original to save costs and ensure the original taste of the work. Of course, doing so might make some Korean audiences uncomfortable, but SPG's positioning was very clear. This imported drama was targeted at young people, and they were the most receptive to foreign films with subtitles. Therefore, on the third day after the agency contract was signed, the high-definition source of Autumn in My Heart was sent by air to SPG's headquarters in Seoul's Gangnam district. On the one hand, they would redo the subtitles, and on the other hand, they would contact the three major TV stations. Even though SPG had done a lot of work on Autumn in My Heart, they still felt that it was wishful thinking for Autumn in My Heart to achieve 10% viewership ratings in Korea. Domestic urban youth idol films were greatly influenced by Korean dramas. The return of similar series to Korea was basically a failure. No matter how popular Autumn in My Heart was in China, it had no impact on Korean television viewers. Furthermore, the Korean TV audience was very supportive of Korean dramas. Even if Autumn in My Heart could be broadcasted in prime time, it would be considered a success if it could achieve 5% of the viewership ratings. South Korea's TV series market is like a rock, and it can't be easily shaken. Early spring in Seoul was still very cold, but in the commercial areas such as Myeongdong, Sinsadong, Lotte and so on, the beautiful women on the streets couldn't wait to put on their spring clothes, adding countless bright colors to this big East Asian city. Song Jae walked out of the entrance of SPG's headquarters in Gangnam district. She didn't linger around the bustling commercial area. She ignored the brightly lit shops nearby and hurriedly turned to the dormitory building not far from SPG. When she arrived at her room, her roommates weren't back yet. Song Jae took out a cup of noodles from the cabinet and boiled some water. While waiting for the noodles to boil, she sat on the edge of the bed and massaged her calves to relieve the muscle soreness caused by a day of training. Song Jae had been in Korea for almost 2 years. As a Chinese artist signed with SPG, She was undoubtedly lucky to be able to go to SPG's headquarters as a trainee to undergo strict training and receive all kinds of training. However, 2 years of boring and arduous training had also worn away Songjai's initial excitement, leaving only perseverance and confusion about the unknown future. After coming to Korea, she found out that there were many trainees under SPG, and there were many who were better than her. Even the opportunity to debut was not easy to come by, and the internal competition was very cruel. As a trainee who hadn't debuted yet, Songjai had almost no source of income. In Seoul, where the expenses were high, she lived a very hard life. It was completely based on her unyielding spirit to persevere. The cup of noodles was ready. Although she had long hated the taste, she still forced herself to finish it. Jai. Songjai had just cleaned up the empty cup and was about to lie on the bed to rest when a few roommates pushed the door open and entered. There were 4 trainees living in this small room. The short-haired girl who greeted Songjai was called Yangyani. She was also from China, 2 months later than her, and also hadn't debuted yet. Both of them had a good relationship in a foreign country, and they encouraged and supported each other. Songjai turned over and asked, "Where did you guys go?" Yangyani smiled and said, "We went to the amusement park." Songjai noticed that she and the other 2 Korean roommates were carrying shopping bags in their hands. Yangyani's family was much better off than Songjai's, and she was usually very willing to spend money on shopping. Songjai was a little envious and said, "I'm dead tired." Yangyani put down the shopping bags and reached out to pull Songjai up. "Let's go watch TV." Songjai shook her head. "I'm not going." SPG's management was very strict. If you wanted to watch TV or surf the internet, you had to go to the multimedia room and computer room on the 2nd floor of the dormitory building. There was no internet cable or TV cable in the room, and of course there was no TV. Yangyani opened her eyes wide and said, "Don't you know? The very popular domestic drama Autumn in My Heart is broadcasting on KGS tonight. This drama was brought in by our agency Autumn in My Heart?" Songjai was stunned. She had heard of this drama, and also knew that SPG had brought it to Korea. She just didn't expect it to be broadcasted so soon. Songjai suddenly felt a little excited. This was a drama from China. Even if it wasn't for her studies, she had to support it, right? "What time is it broadcasting?" Yangyani looked at her watch. "There's still half an hour left." She turned her head and asked her 2 roommates in Korean, "Meijin Huing, are you guys coming?" The 2 Korean roommates knew a little Chinese, and roughly understood what Yangyani and Songjai were talking about. They looked at each other and shook their heads. What was so good about China's dramas? Chapter 333. Songjai and Yangyani took the elevator down to the 2nd floor of the dormitory. The multimedia room on the 2nd floor was very large. It was divided into 4 separate rooms. Each room had a TV, speakers, and karaoke equipment. 3 of the rooms played KBS, MBC, and KGS TV programs at night, mainly variety shows and TV series. KBS, MBC, and KGS were the 3 major TV stations in South Korea. These 3 wireless TV stations occupied most of the market share, mainly broadcasting news, variety shows, and TV series. There were also more than 20 cable TV stations, mainly broadcasting imported movies, American TV series, Japanese TV series, late-night adult dramas, and so on. There were nearly 200 trainees living in the dormitory of SPG Entertainment Company. Not all of these trainees were signed by SPG. Some were trained on behalf of others, but the company treated them equally in management. For these trainees, watching the programs of the 3 major TV stations was both a relaxing and a learning process. Through the TV screen, they could get to know many seniors in the circle and familiarize themselves with various variety festivals and TV series. Everyone could discuss with each other in the multimedia room. Big relief from the pressure brought about by the strict training. Songjai and Yangyani arrived at the room where KGS was playing. The room was not big. There were 5 rows of seats in the front and back, which could accommodate 50 to 60 people watching the program at the same time. However, when the 2 of them arrived, there were only 3 or 4 people sitting in the room. It seemed very quiet. The large LCD TV hanging on the wall was replaying KGS's current affairs program. Songjai and Yangyani greeted the trainees politely and found a seat to sit down. Songjai said softly, "There are so few people. Yang Yani curled her lips and said, "They must have seen the program list. They know that KGS is playing a TV series imported from our country. Naturally, they are not interested. MBC is playing The Queen's Power." The Queen's Power was a large-scale historical drama produced by MBC. The ratings of the first few episodes had already exceeded 25%. It was very likely to become the first popular drama of the year. Moreover, the leading actors were all famous Korean artists, so naturally there were many people watching it. On the other hand, the Korean TV audience was quite xenophobic. They were not very interested in foreign TV series. Even the well-produced, top-notch American TV series were not very popular in Korea. The ratings of cable TV stations were usually below 5%. As for Chinese dramas, only historical dramas could interest the Korean audience. What Yang Yani and Song Jae didn't know was that after SPG brought Autumn in My Heart in, they had spent a lot of effort on broadcasting it. It was already very difficult for it to get on KGS's screen. SPG first contacted MBC because SPG had the best relationship with this second-largest TV station in South Korea. However, MBC was not very interested in the samples sent by SPG. The head of MBC's program department even mocked SPG's people, saying that the 1 billion won they spent would be better spent on charity. At the very least, it would give them a good reputation. What was the point of buying Hua dramas? There was nothing new under the sun. The news that SPG had spent a huge sum of money to purchase a Chinese drama series to expand into the China market had already spread throughout the industry. Most people scoffed at SPG's actions, thinking that SPG had made a stupid move in the face of fierce competition from KG and Han-E. It wasn't that MBC didn't want it. It was just that they were asking for a very low price, and they wouldn't guarantee a broadcast slot. Of course, SPG couldn't agree to such conditions, so they tried contacting KBS, which was the Korean broadcasting station. However, KBS rejected them right away, leaving no room for negotiation. Left with no choice, SPG could only pin their hopes on KGS. Among the three major TV stations in South Korea, KGS had always been considered to be pro-Chinese. They had aired many Hua dramas and even filmed documentaries like Koreans in Beijing, so they were relatively more accepting of Hua dramas. Therefore, SPG was not rejected this time. KGS became interested after watching the samples of Autumn in My Heart and negotiated with SPG. However, KGS knew that SPG had hit a wall with the other two TV stations, so they haggled very hard. In the end, both parties came to an agreement that was similar to the one that Lu Chun had with Hygiene TV back then. The amount of copyright transfer would be decided based on the viewership ratings. SPG had fought so hard for KGS's broadcast slot. Autumn in My Heart would be aired after KGS's current affairs programs on Friday and Saturday. The broadcast time was 6:30 p.m., and 2 episodes would be aired first. There would be adjustments based on the viewership ratings. If the viewership ratings were high, it would be pushed back 2 hours to prime time. If the viewership ratings were low, it would be pushed back 5 hours. This was the best condition that SPG could get. This was the best they could do for this Hua drama. The rest would depend on the performance of Autumn in My Heart. Yang Yani and Song Jae had limited information about Autumn in My Heart. They only knew a little about Autumn in My Heart from the internet. They only knew that it was very popular in China. Of course, the two of them hoped that Autumn in My Heart would be a hit in South Korea. But it was unrealistic. After sitting for about 10 minutes, it was almost time for the broadcast. There were only 3 or 4 more people in the room. These Korean interns were probably curious about the Hua drama that their company was representing. Moreover, there were no other popular dramas or variety shows at this time, so they came with the idea of watching something new. This could be heard from their whispers. Song Jae had been in South Korea for 2 years, and her Korean was pretty good. Therefore, she could understand what others were saying, so she felt a little uncomfortable. This discomfort turned into indignation. She could not help but pray in her heart for Autumn in My Heart, which she had yet to watch. She prayed that it would at least not embarrass itself. After the current affairs news, the opening scene of Autumn in My Heart appeared on the television screen. This urban romance drama that was imported from China was officially broadcast in South Korea. Song Jae and Yang Yani were surprised to find that Autumn in My Heart did not have any redubbing. It was the original sound with bilingual subtitles. This made the two of them feel incomparably close. They immediately threw away those messy thoughts and focused on enjoying the show. They wanted to know what kind of charm this drama that had created a miracle in the country had. An episode was 45 minutes long. Including the advertisements at the beginning and end, it took about 100 minutes to finish 2 episodes. Songjai and Yongyani sat there and did not leave for even a minute. After they finished watching, they felt that this drama was really good. The storyline was unique, the production and images were excellent, and the soundtrack was not inferior to the mainstream dramas in South Korea. Most importantly, the male and female leads of the first 2 episodes had not appeared yet, but the two of them were already attracted, and they were looking forward to the following plot. It's a very interesting TV series. A voice suddenly sounded behind them, giving Songjai and Yongyani a shock. The two of them turned around and saw that there were 20 to 30 people sitting a few rows behind them. They were all trainees like them, and the one who spoke was a Korean girl that they had a good relationship with. Seeing Songjai and Yongyani's shocked expressions, the girls smiled. I like this story very much. There should be more tomorrow, right? We can come and watch it together then. Songjai nodded blankly. Okay. Suddenly she had an idea. Pulling Yongyani along, she ran to the computer room on the same floor. Then she swiped her card and went online. She used the local search engine to search for content related to Autumn in My Heart. Plot, stills and highlights through the relevant links. Songjai entered the official forum of Autumn in My Heart. She was surprised to find that the forum had more than 1 million followers. It was very popular, and the atmosphere in the forum was also very good. There were many posts discussing the overseas broadcast of Autumn in My Heart. Most of these posts were speculations about the ratings, or blessings and wishes. Through the discussion posts, Songjai found out that the author and male lead of Autumn in My Heart had actually made a bold statement about the ratings of the drama in South Korea. If the ratings exceeded 10%, he would give his fans 1,000 South Korean games. Such a shocking sum left Songjai speechless, and she was even more amazed at Lu Chen's ambition. A 10% rating. Although Songjai did not believe that Autumn in My Heart could achieve such a result, she was also infected by Lu Chen's lofty aspirations. She could not help but use her own account to post a post on the forum. I'm in Seoul, South Korea. I just finished watching Autumn in My Heart, and it was pretty good. There was a time difference of 1 hour between South Korea and China. It was 8:30 p.m. here and it was 7:30 p.m. in China. It was the peak time for netizens to surf the net, and the forum was very popular. Therefore, the moment Songjai's post was posted, there were immediately many replies. However, these replies were not very friendly. F***ck trying to trick replies again. Level 1 smurf. The OP is posting in South Korea, and I'm replying from Planet Namek. Please reply if you receive it. Seoul, South Korea? Isn't Seoul the capital of America? Why is it in South Korea? This doesn't make sense. F***ck off. Is it real or fake? There's no picture, no truth. The OP's registered ID is a girl. If it's a real girl, please don't make up stories. Thank you. I'm dying of laughter. Songjai did not expect such an outcome, and was instantly dumbfounded. Yongyani, who was sitting beside her, saw it and was so angry that she immediately ran to the media room next door to record a short video with her phone. Send it up and let them see. I'll slap these people to death. After the video was uploaded, there was a huge change in the direction of the post. F***ck, it's true. KGS TV station, I've wronged the OP. Sorry. OP, where are you? Why does this place feel weird? Television station? OP, please take a picture. So many girls, please tell us the truth. Chapter 334. Autumn in My Heart signed an agency contract with SPG on the 5th of March and aired on KGS on the 25th. In just 20 days, SPG's efficiency was considered very high. The domestic rerun of Autumn in My Heart had not ended yet, and KGS had already aired 4 episodes on the 25th and 26th spring, had bought the copyright of Autumn in My Heart for an ulterior motive. In order to save time and cost, they did not invest in the marketing of the drama, and only released relevant information on their official website and blogs. KGS similarly did not place much importance on Autumn in My Heart. Other than the show preview a few days before the broadcast, there was no fanfare at all, and it felt a little sneaky. It could be said that apart from Lu Chan, no one was really optimistic about the performance of Autumn in My Heart in South Korea. Even the loudest fans were mostly just being stubborn. The South Korean drama market was not that easy to move. After the first 4 episodes of Autumn in My Heart were aired, the ratings were released very quickly. This inevitably attracted a lot of attention. 2. 83% 3. 7% 5. 58% 6. 12%. The average rating was 4. 4%. The ratings of South Korean dramas were different from China. The 3 major TV stations took turns to be the bankers, unlike China, where a drama could have a celebration party if it had a rating of 1%. The average rating of 4% was still passable, but it was nothing compared to those popular dramas that easily had ratings of 10%. For example, the currently popular MBC historical drama, The Power of the Queen, had a rating of close to 30%. Compared to this gorgeous new drama that had an investment of 10 billion won, Autumn in My Heart was like an ugly duckling. However, SPG and KGS's emphasis on Autumn in My Heart had a clear change. The average rating of 4% was not high, but from the first episode's 83% to the 4th episode's 12%, the ratings had more than doubled. This increase was shocking. One must know that Autumn in My Heart was a foreign drama, and it was a Chinese drama that had never been popular in the South Korean market. Without any investment in marketing, it had gained such a huge increase in just 2 days, which meant that this drama was going to be a hit. Based on the current ratings alone, Autumn in My Heart had already set a record for similar Chinese dramas being broadcasted on South Korean TV stations. There was a huge potential for improvement in the future. Most importantly, KGS found out through a phone interview with a subordinate agency that Blue was very well received by the audience, with more than 90% positive reviews. On the internet, especially in TV-related forums, there were also discussions about Blue. This is the first Chinese drama I've ever watched. It's surprisingly good. The male lead is very handsome and the female lead is very beautiful. The acting skills of the two are very good. This is a good drama worth recommending. The storyline is also very good. Did you guys notice that the names of the characters are very Korean? Other than the background, it feels like an outstanding Korean drama, not a Chinese drama. I've watched a few Hua dramas in the past, but they can't compare at all. Spoiler alert, this is a tragedy. Go to hell for spoilers. The unexpected viewership ratings and good reviews made SPG feel like they had found a treasure. Therefore, SPG and KGS met again and arranged a new publicity plan for Autumn in My Heart. KGS adjusted the broadcast time and delayed Blue to prime time. They also changed the broadcast time from 4 episodes per 2 days to 3 episodes per 3 days, extending the broadcast time. With the investment of publicity funds, Autumn in My Heart's popularity in Korea suddenly increased. And the effect was immediate. The 5th episode on April 1st had a viewership rating of 9.37%. The 6th episode on April 2nd had a viewership rating of 12.79%. On Sunday night, April 3rd, KGS aired the 7th episode of Autumn in My Heart. When Song Jae and Yang Yani arrived at the multimedia room on time, they were shocked to find that it was filled with people. There were basically no empty seats. The two looked at each other, a strong sense of pride rising in their hearts. Since when did Chinese dramas become so popular in Korea? The two girls even keenly sensed that the gazes of the trainees on the scene had changed. That night, Blue's viewership rating reached 15.86%. Other than the surge in viewership ratings, the drama's viewership was also increasing significantly. Just like the high-definition digital TVs in China, the digital set-top boxes used by Korean TV viewers were equipped with a playback function. Many viewers were watching the first few episodes of Autumn in My Heart at different times. This was also a sign that Autumn in My Heart's viewership was exploding. The next morning, Song Jae and Yang Yani had just finished their training and were about to rest when they were called to the office by the person in charge of the training center. An executive from SPG was already waiting there. The other party informed Songjia and Yang Yani that the two had been selected to return to China and prepare to participate in the filming of Lu Chen's new drama. Songjia and Yang Yani could not believe it when they heard the news. After confirming that it was true, the two could not help but cry tears of joy. Their hard work and perseverance had finally paid off. At the same time, the news of Autumn in My Heart, a steadily increasing viewership in Korea, quickly spread back to China. The latest episode's viewership rating had exceeded 15%. With 13 more episodes to go, the average viewership rating of the drama was already set to exceed 10%. And it would be far more than that. Since when did Chinese dramas become so popular in Korea? Many people in the industry who knew about the situation were shocked and went to Lu Chan's studio to inquire about the news. As for the fans of Lu Chan and Chanfei, they were completely boiling. They didn't know the real significance of Autumn in My Heart being popular in South Korea. But they understood that Lu Chan and Chanfei were going to fulfill their promises. This is a big deal. In the recording studio of Flying Stone Records, Lu Chan said to Chanfei, "You're going to pay for your dowry." At the beginning, in order to fight back against the entertainment aspect, Big V, Lu Chen's original idea was to reach 10% of the viewership rating of Autumn in My Heart. Then he would draw out the first, second, and third prizes from the fans. The first prize would be 10 places for a luxury tour in South Korea. The second prize would be 100 places for a happy tour. And the third prize would be 1,000 souvenirs. As a result, Chanfei scoffed at this and changed it to not be divided into the first, second, and third prizes, and directly draw 1,000 pairs. The announcement was made in two parts to give the fans a big surprise. Such a big surprise made Lu Chan really stunned. Lu Chan actually wanted to tell his girlfriend that in his dream world, the original Korean drama's viewership rating in South Korea reached 40% plus. Although the current situation was different, he believed that it should not be a big problem to get an average viewership rating of 20%. This meant that he would have to pay tens of millions of yuan, which was not enough even if he spent all the money he earned from selling to SPG. And Chanfei's reason was very simple. If he wanted to play, he would play big. If he really made a name for himself in South Korea, it would be worth it no matter how much money he spent. As for the cost, she would cover it. A mere few million or tens of millions of yuan was not even a fraction of Heavenly Empress Chen's dowry. To Lu Chen's teasing, she proudly expressed her disdain. Chapter 335. On the 8th, 9th, and 10th of April, KGS continued to broadcast the 8th, 9th, and 10th episodes of Autumn in My Heart. Since both KGS and SPG had invested sufficient resources in marketing, coupled with the reputation they had built up in the early stages, the total of 20 episodes of Autumn in My Heart successfully broke the 20% mark and reached 31%. This caused quite a commotion in Korea. Firstly, among all the Chinese dramas imported by the three major Korean TV stations, Autumn in My Heart had jumped to third place in the viewership ratings, second only to Romance of the Three Kingdoms and Dream of the Red Chamber, both of which were produced in the 1990s. Among similar dramas, Autumn in My Heart had undoubtedly set a record for Chinese dramas in Korea. And most importantly, it had the potential to continue improving. SPG could be said to have unintentionally planted a willow tree, and according to the contract it signed with KGS, it would not be a problem to recoup the cost, and profits would not be a problem as well. Coupled with the agency agreement with Lu Chan Studio, they had made a huge profit. This Korean entertainment company had been in China for many years, and their representative, Park Young-ho, was half Chinese, so he understood the psychology of the Chinese people. Under his instructions, SPG's official account on Waves not only broadcast the ratings of Autumn in My Heart on time, but also forwarded the good reviews from the Korean media and audience. Many Korean media outlets were in disbelief over the popularity of Autumn in My Heart. In Korea, influential newspapers and magazines such as Chosun Simbo, Hanseong Daily, Hanwon Weekly, and other influential newspapers and magazines all published articles to explore the reasons for the popularity of this drama. Some tabloids even exclaimed that Hua Lu's counterattack. Although this statement was too exaggerated and was basically a sensationalist headline, it also reflected the influence of Autumn in My Heart. Unlike China, the proportion of Korean television viewers was very high, and dramas and variety shows were the most popular, so the ratings of strong dramas could easily reach tens of %. As for the reason why the Korean audience liked Autumn in My Blood, there were basically two main reasons. The first reason was that they liked the plot of Autumn in My Blood, the strange combination of fate, heartbreaking emotional entanglements, and the foreign setting attracted a group of housewives. Lu Chan had purposely turned the names of the characters in the story into Korean, which also increased the audience's affinity to a certain extent. The second group was the young audience. Lu Chen's tall and handsome looks, Chun Feier's pure and beautiful looks, and the wonderful performances of the supporting actors and actresses made them suddenly realize that there were also outstanding and charming idols in the entertainment industry of the Ling Nation. It must be pointed out here that Chun Feier, who had participated in many Sino-Korean music concerts, had a bit of fame in Korea. With the help of Autumn in My Heart, her popularity skyrocketed more than tenfold. As for Lu Chan, needless to say, his Korean fan support group had already appeared on Korean social media. Although it was unofficial, the number of members had reached tens of thousands, and most of them were girls. Interestingly, on the 10th, Your Eyes, the theme song of Autumn in My Heart, performed by Lu Chan and Chun Feier, entered the K-pop chart as a Chinese song, ranking at number 27. The K-pop chart was the most authoritative music chart in Korea. There were only a total of 30 positions. As the Korean entertainment industry was extremely developed, and the songs on the chart were not limited to Korean or foreign languages, the competition for this chart was very fierce. It was already very commendable that Your Eyes was able to enter the chart. All kinds of records and honors caused Autumn in My Heart to set off a small storm in Korea. KGS even used this drama to compete head-on with MBC's popular drama, The Power of the Queen, to compete for advertising resources. This was unimaginable in the past. It was completely achieved by Autumn in My Heart, with its own strength. And these records and honors were all told by SPG to the domestic fans of Autumn in My Heart, through the Waves blog. The vast number of fans of Autumn in My Heart were naturally excited again, feeling that it was too glorious. SPG used this opportunity to reap a huge wave of favorability points. The number of fans on the blog actually increased by more than 10 times. Many fans of Autumn in My Heart, as well as fans of Lu Chan and Chun Feier, went to the verified account Entertainment Sideview blog to leave a message. Waiting for the blogger to run naked. Blogger, show some of your qualities and run naked on the streets. The viewership rating is 31%. When is the blogger going to run naked? Didn't you say that everyone would go and watch? I think the blogger's face is already swollen from the slap. He should be too embarrassed to face anyone. Everyone disperse. You have nothing to say now, right? This verified account had previously said that if Autumn in My Heart broke 10% in Korea's viewership ratings, he would run naked on the streets. Now that it was only halfway through the broadcast, it was already a foregone conclusion that it would break 10%. His face had already been slapped until it could not be any more swollen. This showed one thing. As a public figure, it was very important to be careful with your words and actions. You should not speak too confidently, otherwise, you might not be able to step down from the stage. Of course, those who managed to become an internet celebrity on the blog were usually thick-skinned. After a few days of silence, Entertainment Perspective posted a new blog post, saying that he would keep his promise after Autumn in My Heart ended its broadcast in South Korea. What made people spurt rice was that just as Entertainment Sideview said that he would keep his promise, Police Officer V. Safe Capital replied to him, exposing private parts of the body in public, including running naked, is a violation of public security regulations. He will be detained for 3 days as punishment. This matter immediately became a big joke on the Waves blog. The domestic media also took the opportunity to join in the fun. Many mainstream media reported the news of Autumn in My Heart being a hit in Korea, praising this TV series for winning glory for Chinese dramas. Indeed, the domestic film and television market was unprecedentedly prosperous, but excellent original works were rare, especially those that could be successfully broadcast on foreign television stations. That was even rarer. If they did not praise such a thing, what else could they praise? Compared to the clamor on the internet and the media adding fuel to the fire, the response in the domestic film and television industry was completely different. Although there were some voices of jealousy, most of them were researching and discussing why Autumn in My Heart could achieve such great success. In terms of investment, the investment for Autumn in My Heart was no more than 10 million. In terms of the star lineup, there were no other big shots other than Chen Feier, and all the supporting roles were originally unknown newcomers. In terms of production, the producer Chanda Brothers Pictures was a junior in the industry. In terms of story, Autumn in My Heart was a tragedy. However, this low-budget TV series completely crushed those huge productions with hundreds of millions of investment and stars. Many film and television companies were ready to make a move. The success of Autumn in My Heart allowed them to see a shining golden path, and that was to follow the trend and imitate. The trend of imitating in the domestic film and television series had a long history, and it was seen as a shortcut to make money. When a movie or TV series became popular, there would inevitably be a large number of imitators competing for the market. Autumn in My Heart was so successful that it would be strange if there was no imitator, especially when Liu Chan had publicly announced that there would be no sequel to this TV series. It was as if people saw a large piece of fat being thrown to the ground. As a result, many screenwriters and authors in the Beijing circle received orders. The requirements of the investors were all to write a new script, according to the model of Autumn in My Heart. The timing was getting better, and the plot was more similar the better. Not only that, several film and television companies had already announced the start of new projects, and if one looked carefully at their publicity announcements, one could see the shadow of Autumn in My Heart. But for the tens of thousands of Chen and Feier fans, they did not care about those pirated TV series. What they cared about was when would Liu Chen's new TV series be released. After the premiere of Autumn in My Heart, Liu Chan had said that he would release a new TV series this year. The new TV series had nothing to do with Autumn in My Heart, and it was not the sequel of the latter. This made the fans extremely look forward to it. But 2 months had passed, and Liu Chan's studio had not released any relevant information. No film and television company had announced that they would cooperate with Liu Chan. The patience of the fans was always limited, especially when the good news of Autumn in My Heart in South Korea came. They wanted Liu Chan to give a clear answer. How long do we have to wait? Countless fans ran to Liu Chan and Chen Feier's blogs to leave messages. This resentment was so strong that even Liu Chan felt great pressure and had to speak out. In fact, it was not that Liu Chan was deliberately hanging everyone's appetite, but during this period of time, he had been busy with the top priority of this year, that was Chen Feier's new album. It was not new for Chen Feier to release a new album. She has released more than 10 albums, but this album was very unusual. It was her transformational work. For a long time, Chen Feier has been dubbed the Queen of Sweet Song. This title was both an honor and a burden, especially at her age. Coupled with the changes in the market, transformation was imperative. And whether the transformation could be successful or not was related to Chen Feier's music career. So of course she attached great importance to it. Under such circumstances, how could Liu Chan, who was in charge of half of the new album, stay out of it? As one of the producers of the album, he was duty-bound to stay in Flying Stone Records. It was also because of his great importance that Chen Feier's requirements for the new album reached a demanding level. In order to complete the album, she pushed off a lot of announcements and endorsement activities, and repeatedly polished the work in the recording studio, especially the arrangement, which was even more elaborate. Big delay in the completion time. So when the album was finally recorded, it was already mid-April. Fortunately, Liu Chan also squeezed out time to write all the new scripts during this period. He had an explanation for his fans. Chapter 336. On the evening of April 15th, Liu Chan officially announced his plans to shoot a new TV series on his blog. In this blog post, he first thanked his fans for their support, apologized for the delay in revealing the news of the new TV series, and specially explained that it was because of the production of Chen Feier's album. Of course, the main point was that the script of the new TV series had been written and would soon enter the project production link. As for the questions that fans were most concerned about, Liu Chan answered 3 in the blog post. First of all, about the genre of the new work, it was still an urban romance drama, but the story would not be the same as that of Indigo. Secondly, the new TV series had more episodes than Indigo, which was expected to be 25 episodes. Finally, the male and female leads were still Liu Chan and Chen Feier. As soon as the news revealed on Liu Chen's blog was announced, it first caused a huge sensation in the fan circle. It was really called out. Everyone was looking forward to it, and now there was finally accurate and reliable news. It's finally here. It's not easy. I hope it can be filmed and broadcast as soon as possible. Yeah, after watching Autumn in My Heart, I always feel fake and awkward when I watch other shows. I don't like it. Big Lu-chan, what's the name of the new TV series? It's still My Chun and My Fei, hooray! Throwing flowers to celebrate. The fans were in high spirits, but the people in the circle heard the news and broke the threshold of Lu-chan's studio. Lu-shi's phone directly exploded. There were too many units that wanted to cooperate with Lu-chan and Lu-chan's studio on the new TV series. Many famous big companies in the industry sent representatives to negotiate, such as Jiahua, Crown, Jinlibao, etc., which were all big shots. There were also TV stations, Zhidong Satellite TV, Haijin Satellite TV, Deep Sea Satellite TV, Beijing Television. They also called to seek cooperation opportunities. Autumn in My Heart was really too popular. Not only did it break the ratings record in China, but it was also broadcast in South Korea. The next step was likely to be promoted to Japan and other Southeast Asian countries, which was really good and popular. Everyone had missed this incomparably delicious big cake, so how could they just stand by and watch the new cake be indifferent? That was why investors and partners came one after another. In addition to these companies and units, many entertainment agencies also wanted a piece of the pie. Many star artists were interested in playing a role in the new drama, and they all used their connections to find Lu-chan's studio. Lu-chan even received a call from Chan Jinhao. This would-be nanny dad had retired and was preparing to become a father. Logically speaking, he should not care about the affairs of the world anymore. Unfortunately, as someone who used to be in the circle, he could not get rid of the entanglement of relationships in the circle. He was asked to speak to Lu-chan. It's impossible to be the main character. Let's have a supporting role. There were really a lot of people who wanted roles such as Flying Stone Records, Light Rain Media, and SPG. There were several that Lu-chan had agreed to or had agreements with earlier. There were too many monks and not enough meat. It was precisely because of this that when Lu-chan wrote the script, he made a lot of changes to the original plot framework, adding more characters, strengthening the plot, and correcting the existing bugs. Of course, the idea of his new drama still came from the dream world, but it would never be a copy. In this way, in addition to producing a higher quality than the original, there would also be more room for operation. On the second day after Lu-chan announced the news, two acquaintances of Beijing TV station came to him. These two people, Lu-chan, also had to personally come out to receive them, Chan Chi and Guruwei. Chan Chi was the deputy director of Beijing TV station, and Guruwei was the artistic director of the program department. When Lu-chan participated in Beijing Television's Singing China talent show, they took good care of Lu-chan. After meeting, Chan Chi said straightforwardly to Lu-chan, "Xiao Lu, you have to leave a share of this new drama for Beijing TV. We can't miss out on the filming, production, and premiere. As for the conditions, you can ask for anything. As long as I can agree to it, it's no problem." Beijing TV didn't want to eat alone. What they were plotting was joint production and joint premiere. Nowadays, many popular TV series or movie blockbusters are cooperated by means of joint investment, filming, and broadcasting. On the one hand, it is to share risks, and on the other hand, it is to expand their influence. Another very important reason is that it is difficult for people who like to eat alone to stand firm in the circle, including Lu-chan. He was able to rise rapidly in the entertainment industry. In addition to his own strength, paying attention to the management of interpersonal relationships is also one of the key factors. Only by knowing how to share benefits can he be so smooth. Some people don't understand this truth and always want to keep all the profits in their own pockets. As a result, they often hit their heads and bleed, and in the end, the gains do not make up for the losses. For Lu-chan to establish a foothold in Beijing to develop his career, it is undoubtedly necessary to establish a long-term friendly cooperative relationship with Beijing TV station. So he does not exclude the participation of Beijing TV. Of course, the premise is to ensure his own core interests. Even if he ceded a part, he must exchange it for the equivalent value. Beijing TV can cooperate, and Zhejiang TV can also cooperate. The premiere rights can be distributed to several TV stations. But there are some interests that Lu-chan will not easily give up. For example, product placement. The so-called product placement is a form of advertising that has emerged with the development of movies, TV, games, etc. It refers to deliberately inserting a business's products or services in the film and television plot in games to achieve a subtle publicity effect. Because the audience has a natural resistance to advertising, the practice of integrating goods into these entertainment methods is often much better than rigid sales promotion. Nowadays, the domestic film and television industry is developing rapidly, and there are more and more product placement advertisements in TV series and movies. Some of the high-profile superstar blockbusters have signed a large number of product placement contracts before shooting, so that the production costs have been recovered in advance. When Liu Chun shot Autumn in My Heart, he was still unknown in the film and television industry. Now that he has become famous, there are more advertisers who have come to him. For example, Senki Clothing, Zhonghua Automobile, Thunderbird Watch, Lonja Daily Cosmetics, etc., which he endorses, are all interested in placing their own advertisements in the new drama. Liu Shi roughly estimated that if he won all the product placement advertisements of these big brands, he could earn at least more than 20 million in advertising fees. In this way, even if the script is settled, the new drama can't be shot just because he wants to. It involves various interests, and it's not easy to straighten it out. Otherwise, it's easy to cause the outflow of rights and interests. Liu Chun irresponsibly threw all these troubles to his sister. What he is most concerned about now is not the new drama that is about to be shot, but Chun Feier's new album that is about to be released on the market. Chapter 337. How much wine did you drink today? Chun Feier blocked Liu Chun out of the door and said coquettishly, I told you to drink less, but you always come back smelly. If you do this again, you will not be allowed to enter this house again in the future. Liu Chun had a helpless look on his face and explained, I don't want to, but I really can't push it away. Since he announced the news of shooting a new TV series on the Waves blog, people from all walks of life have come to seek cooperation. Some of them can be directly rejected, and some of them can't be erased. So in the past few days, there have been continuous banquets. In the evening it was Zhang Qian and Zhang Da, the bosses of Chinda Brothers Pictures. When filming Autumn in My Heart, Zhang Da personally sat in Jinling Film and Television City, and did his best to solve the problems of the crew. He absolutely contributed to the smooth shooting of this TV series. Although Chinda Pictures made a lot of money from Autumn in My Heart, they also invested real money, and it was reasonable to share the benefits. During this period, the friendly cooperative relationship and friendship established by the two sides, of course, Liu Chun couldn't not acknowledge it. If it were someone else in the current situation, they might have directly kicked out the weak Chinda Pictures, but Liu Chen's character were doomed to not do such a ruthless thing, because he also gave Chinda Pictures a share in the new TV series. Of course, the share of Chinda Pictures was far less than when they produced Autumn in My Heart, but the bosses of the brothers were already very satisfied and praised Liu Chun for being a loyal friend. Looking at the partners that have been finalized for Liu Chen's new TV series, it is very clear Beijing Television, Zhidong Satellite TV, Crown Pictures, Flying Stone Records, SPG. Compared with these big crocodiles, Chinda Pictures is not a small shrimp but just a small fish. Therefore, Zhang Qian and Zhang Da came together in the afternoon and blocked Liu Chun in the studio. They dragged him to dinner, accompanied by director Feng Hui, Zhang Liwei, who played Cui Xinai, and so on. Under such circumstances, Liu Chun had no choice but to drink. However, in order to protect his throat from alcohol, he drank a lot of beer. Although he reeked of alcohol, at least he was not drunk. People in Jianghu had no choice but to do what they wanted. Unless they stayed at home and became a shut-in, socializing was unavoidable. Chun Feier had been in the industry for more than 10 years, so of course she understood this principle. However, when Liu Chun came home every day smelling of alcohol, she couldn't help but feel sorry for him. She had to reprimand him a few times. Next time, just say that your stomach isn't good and you can't drink. I'll prepare a few vitamin tablets for you to bring along. If anyone asks you to drink, just take them. My dear wife is wise. Liu Chun hugged Chun Feier and said with a smile, I'll listen to you. He lowered his head and kissed her on the cheek. After being hugged and kissed by Liu Chun, Chun Feier's body became soft. She rolled her eyes at him coquettishly and said, You make it sound so nice. Liu Chun kicked the door shut. His big hand slid down from Chun Feier's willowy waist. He leaned over and suddenly picked her up. he said with an evil smile. Come on, let's take a bath together. Chen Feier's pretty face turned red. She clenched her slender fist and punched Lu Chen's chest. Who wants to take a bath with you? Her fist did not have much strength. The bath lasted for almost an hour before it ended. When Lu Chen walked out of the bathroom, he was refreshed, and Chen Feier, who was in his arms, had a soft body and a blush on her jade-like face. She was as beautiful as a lotus flower out of the water. Lu Chen carried Chen Feier to the bedroom bed. Then, he took out a stack of paper from the bedside drawer and handed it to her. This is. Chen Feier leaned against the headboard lazily and did not want to move. However, when she saw the thick stack of paper in front of her, her eyes lit up. A new script. Lu Chen smiled and said, That's right. The script for the new drama was finalized 2 days ago. Because there were many changes from the original work, Lu Chen spent a lot of effort to complete it. Many of the plots in the drama had been repeatedly revised. Based on the original work, Lu Chen spent a lot of effort on this script. He had his own ideas, and the time he spent on it was far longer than Autumn in My Heart. That was why he only took it out for Chen Feier to see today. After taking the paper, Chen Feier couldn't help but straighten her back. The stack of paper in her hand was only a few 100 grams, but she was very clear about its weight. The profits involved in this new drama were as high as tens of millions or even hundreds of millions. Take your time to read, Lu Chen said while putting on his clothes. Please give me more valuable advice. Chen Feier didn't have time to read the script. She raised her head and asked in surprise, Are you still going out? Lu Chen smiled and said, No, but I want to meet my fans in the online live broadcast room. Chen Feier suddenly understood. During this period of time, Lu Chen put aside all other work for her new album and sacrificed a lot. Her eyes overflowed with tenderness. Then go. Lu Chen leaned down and kissed her and said, I'll be right outside. Okay. After Lu Chen left, Chen Feier's attention returned to the manuscript in her hand. Her eyes fell on the first page. For striking black characters first came into view. Full House of Romance. Han Jian was a web writer. Since her parents passed away, she lived in a house called Full House. This was the last inheritance left to her by her parents. As a not very successful writer, Han Jian also did some miscellaneous work to make a living. In order to keep the ownership of this house, she had been living a frugal life. However, no one expected that Jian's best friend, Shi Zhan, and her boyfriend used despicable means to trick Jian into signing the power of attorney for the transfer of the house, and tricked her into traveling abroad. Then they secretly sold Full House and disappeared without a trace. Jian met the big star Li Youngjae on the plane and vomited all over him, leaving a deep impression on each other. After returning home from the trip, Jian found that the house was empty. Only then did she realize that she had been deceived by the person she trusted the most. She had nothing left. At this time, the big star Li Youngjae she met on the plane suddenly dragged his moving luggage and broke into the house. He said that Full House had been bought by him, but seeing that Jian was homeless and pitiful, he had to let Jian stay and hire her to be his nanny. What an interesting story. Chen Feier was fascinated by it and completely forgot the passage of time. While Chen Feier was reading the script, Lu Chen had already logged into the live broadcast room of Whale TV. He was now the star spokesperson of Whale TV and also the #1 star anchor. At present, the number of fans following him had exceeded 5 million. Although this data was not very real and the platform could not rule out the possibility of fake data, there was no doubt that his popularity in Whale TV was strong. Although the number of times he personally live broadcast was very few, he could attract countless fans to watch and interact with each time. Tonight, Lu Chen's live broadcast was not announced in advance. However, in just a few minutes after he started the live broadcast, the number of fans had already exceeded 100,000 and was growing at an alarming rate. Once a top star anchor like Lu Chen started the live broadcast, the platform would immediately send a message to notify the fans who followed him. The latter only needed to click the link to enter the live broadcast room through the computer and wireless terminal. It was very convenient and simple. Therefore, more and more fans appeared in the live broadcast room after receiving the news. Damn! What day is it today? I hit the jackpot. It's actually Big Lu Chen's live broadcast personally. Hey, the background is very strange. Is it Lu Chen's new home? It looks very good. I'm really moved. I thought I would never see Big Lu Chen again and Welty, crying. Brother Chen is crying. Stop quarreling. Let Big Lu Chen sing. Brother Lu Chen, when are you going to shoot a new movie? Why yeah. Countless exclamations and greetings filled the screen, accompanied by raindrops of fish balls. Although Welty's share of reward props was nothing for the current Lu Chen, what he saw was the enthusiasm and support of the fans. Lu Chen was really moved. It was a great luck to have such a group of fans. He put his hands together and said to the microphone, "Thank you everyone. I'm really sorry. I've been too busy with work during this time. I don't have much time to open a live broadcast to chat with you. I hope you can forgive me." Lu Chen also purchased a set of live broadcast equipment in his new home. The computer microphone and other things were placed next to the piano on the double floor, but today was the first time it came in handy. He was too busy some time ago. Except for a live broadcast at the 72H Grass Music Festival, he hadn't appeared in Wales so far. Today, Chen Feier's new album has been recorded and the new script has been written. He wanted to make it up to his fans. "Forgive me. We know you're making an album for Chen Feier. I know you're busy. I'm satisfied with a live broadcast once a month. Come on, Big Lu Chen. I feel sorry for Big. Brother Lu Chen, you have to pay attention to your health. Don't tire yourself out. We will always support you. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I can see Brother Lu Chen on TV. I've watched Autumn in My Heart 3 times. I cry every time I watch it. I want a new TV series. 10,000 tons of copper balls. Fans are actually very easy to satisfy, especially true love fans. They know that a star artist like Lu Chen must be very busy with his daily work, and it is impossible to have much time to open a live broadcast online. Lu Chen's sincere attitude also moved the fans. Because everyone understands Lu Chen, they are very happy to see him and don't ask for much. Lu Chen chatted with the fans first and answered the questions that everyone was most concerned about, such as Chen Feier's new album, the new TV series, and his own life and work situation. It was like a live online video interview. As time went by, the number of fans who poured into the live broadcast room exceeded the 1 million mark. Lu Chen's strong popularity was revealed. Chapter 338. Chatting with fans over the internet is not a work or a burden for Lu Chen, but a relaxation of the mood. At the same time, he is answering questions. He is not facing an interview with a media reporter. There is no microphone or recording pen desperately stuffed into his mouth facing the screen, and there are no cameras around him. Lu Chen can pick the questions he is willing to answer and ignore the ill-intentioned barrage. He doesn't need to deliberately choose his words and sentences, and there is no pressure. Of course, as he chatted, he inevitably had to pick up the guitar and sing a few songs. Tonight, Lu Chen was very easy to talk to. He asked his fans to pick any song they wanted. As long as it is his own work, he will sing whatever they want. It was very refreshing. Of course, the fans were very satisfied, which can be reflected from the exponential increase in the number of fish balls. The most heavyweight aircraft carrier reward alone exceeded 100, and the scene in the live broadcast room was spectacular. As he played and sang, Lu Chen felt as if he had returned to the time when he worked hard and wealthy. He couldn't help but sigh. This time shake and shake, this time turn and turn. Perhaps this Song of Time can best reflect Lu Chen's mood and state of mind at this moment. In less than a year, a lot of things have changed. He can't help but ask himself, is this what he wants? The answer is yes. As he sang and chatted, time flew by unconsciously. It was not until a cup of coffee was sent to the table that he came back to his senses. Lu Chen couldn't help but turn his head and find Chen Feier standing next to the computer desk. She opened her mouth and said to Lu Chen silently, "Drink it while it's hot." Previously in the bedroom, Chen Feier read the script for almost 2 hours and was absorbed in it. It was only when the commotion outside woke her up with a start. So she put on her clothes and ran to the study adjacent to the master bedroom to make a cup of coffee for Lu Chen. Lu Chen nodded and took a sip of the coffee. Well, it was delicious. And this scene was seen by millions of fans. Due to the limitation of the camera's field of view, the viewers could not see Chen Feier's full face, but they could still see the hand that he stretched over with the coffee, as well as a small part of his side profile. The live stream channel instantly burst into an uproar. Hey, who sent the coffee to Big Lu Chan? Based on my 25 years of life experience, I'm 100% sure it's a girl. And it's definitely a beauty. Seek the truth. Big news, it's already past 10 o'clock now. A mysterious woman has appeared beside our Big Lu Chan. I guess it's Chan Fei. What do you think? I'm guessing she's Lu Chen's sister. Chun Feier. They didn't ask any questions, and they didn't want to listen to the song. Everyone's attention was attracted by the mysterious woman, who suddenly appeared next to Lu Chan. The number of bullet screens instantly reached a terrifying level. Lu Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry, so he simply said to Chen Feier, "Say hello to everyone." The relationship between them had long been public, and it was not the first time that they had shown their affection, so there was no need to hide it. Of course, it was the first time that they appeared in the livestream together, and at home. There was a first time for everything, wasn't there? Chun Feier smiled, bent down and waved at the camera saying, "Hello everyone, I'm Chun Feier." Before she came out, she had thought of the possibility of being captured by the livestream camera, so she deliberately changed into a long dress. She actually felt sweet in her heart when Lu Chan asked her to say hello to the fans. Therefore, Chun Feier's smile was particularly sweet. Bang! This time, the livestream channel exploded, and the intensity was as if a million-ton nuclear bomb had just been released. It was actually Chun Feier. Everyone knew that Lu Chan and Chen Feier were in a relationship, and it was very normal for couples to live together. However, when Chun Feier revealed her real identity in such a big way, it confirmed the fact that she and Lu Chan were living together, which was very surprising, because many couples in the entertainment industry, even if they announced their relationship, were still very scrupulous in this regard. Because it was too common for men and women to break up in the entertainment industry, it was inevitable that they would be embarrassed after living together. Therefore, even if they were already living together, they would try to avoid the public eye. Chun Feier's calmness showed that the relationship between her and Lu Chan was really good. Of course, for the vast number of fans, tonight was definitely a night of surprise. Wow, it's really Chun Feier. Sister Feier, I love you. The single dog has suffered a severe damage of 10,000 points. Goodbye everyone, there's no need to rescue him. I saw a crazy show of affection again. I really can't watch it anymore. Chun Feier, sing a song with Big Lu Chan. Yes, sing, 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 couples sing. Singing +1. Such a strong cry, of course. Chun Feier saw it. She smiled with her eyes curved, thought for a moment and said, "Since everyone wants to listen, then I will sing a song for everyone. It's a new song. Hooray. Everyone, don't quarrel. Listen to the song carefully. So excited, so excited. Support the new song." The fans were boiling again, and the fish balls rewarded were like a rainstorm. Aircraft carriers sailed by majestically. In just a few minutes, the number of props Chun Feier received after her appearance actually exceeded the sum of Lu Chen's previous 2 hours. It was estimated that it would not be a problem to break the record of Whale TV. Chun Feier took the guitar from Lu Chan, drove him away from his seat, and sat down with the guitar in her arms. Although she doesn't have much experience in online live broadcasting, she will not have the slightest discomfort in front of the microphone and camera. She smiled and said, "This song is a song in my new album. I haven't sung it in public yet. It was also written for me by Mr. Lu Chan. I hope everyone likes it. Thank you." The name of this song is Across the Sea to See You. As soon as her voice fell, Chun Feier gently plucked the strings and played the prelude. Chun Feier has never been a folk singer. She rarely sings with the guitar, but this does not mean that her guitar playing level is poor. On the contrary, her fingers play very skillfully. For you, I used half a year's savings across the sea to see you. For this reunion, I even breathed when we met. I have practiced repeatedly. Words have never been able to express my feelings, expressing 1 in a million. For this regret, I thought about it at night and refused to sleep. Memories always accumulate slowly, and my heart can't be erased. For your promise, I was in the most desperate time. I endured not to cry. Oh, the sound of the piano and singing, like the moonlight in the night sky, gently sprinkled in the room. It's fascinating. Note: Across the Sea to See You, lyricist/composer, Li Zongsheng. Chapter 339. This song, Across the Sea to See You, was tailor-made by Lu Chun for Chen Feier's new album. Chen Feier's new album is her transformation work, and its positioning is very clear. That is, to abandon the previous sweet song genre and fully turn to the style of love songs. For any singer, especially a famous singer, a change in style was never an easy thing to do. This was because the fans had long been accustomed to her style and positioning, and a large number of fans of the same genre had been cultivated. It was difficult for them to adapt to the sudden change. There was always a feeling of obedience, or an instinctive feeling of discomfort or even disgust, which led to a decrease in acceptance. In the history of pop music, there are many examples of transformation failures. Some singers were unable to recover because of this, some continued to persevere but were lost in the crowd, and some returned to the old road, but found that there was no way to go. Therefore, even Chen Feier was cautious about this new album. She would rather delay the ticket than have any flaws. For this reason, she did not hesitate to push off a large number of announcements, commercial performances and endorsements, and concentrated on staying in the recording studio of Flying Stone Records. As Chen Feier's man, Lu Chun is naturally duty-bound to help her complete this new album. In fact, the change from a sweet song to a love song is not very big. If Chen Feier, as the queen of sweet songs, wants to sing rock and roll or R&B, it will be a hellish difficulty. She has also had love songs before, so the fans' acceptance is still very high. The key lies in the album itself. Without a solid or even classic work, how can it be considered a success? To this end, Lu Chun wrote 6 songs for Chen Feier. Across the Sea to See You is one of them. This song has a beautiful melody and strong emotion, with a little sadness and confusion, revealing the persistent pursuit of love, which is very touching. Chen Feier has a beautiful voice like the sound of nature. Her voice line features are extremely clear. Her fans can tell at a glance that she has a distinct personal characteristic. The sweet songs she was best at were sweet and pleasing to the ear, making people feel as if they were bathing in the spring breeze. It was very comfortable and warm, as if they were drinking honey and couldn't stop. When she sang a love song, the characteristics of her voice did not change substantially, but the tone of her voice deepened and became more gentle and warm. There was also a trace of magnetism, which perfectly released the feelings contained in the work itself. Especially when the Heavenly Queen played and sang affectionately, the millions of fans in the live broadcast room were mesmerized. What a strange city! In a familiar corner, they also comforted each other, hugging and sighing no matter what the outcome would be. In the sandstorm, watching you go away, I was so sad that I could not help myself. I hope to see you off 1,000 miles away. Till the end of his tether, I will depend on you for my whole life. When it came to the climax of the chorus, Chen Feier obviously increased her strength, including plucking the strings. The same tenderness had more strength and no regrets, which sublimated the emotional theme of the whole song. There are 10 songs in an album, and Chen Feier has practiced any of them over and over again. This song, Across the Sea to See You, is of course no exception. So even if it was not in a professional recording studio, nor on a gorgeous stage, she still sang like a real superstar. Lu Chun, who was leaning against the piano, stared at Chen Feier, who was concentrating on playing and singing. His black eyes flashed with light. Putting aside the intimate relationship between the two, what he saw was the gorgeous transformation of a singer. So moving. Chen Feier's singing seemed to have a magic power that could penetrate the barriers of space and pass to the ears of all the fans who were listening to her singing, into their hearts. More and more viewers poured into Lu Chun's live broadcast room, and soon broke through the 2 million mark. Among them, there were many super administrators of WeLTV. They also came to listen to the song. In fact, when Lu Chun suddenly started a live broadcast in the evening, WeLTV immediately knew about it. The administrator quickly put a wave of advertisements on the homepage, attracting the attention of a large number of passers-by. The number of fans watching Lu Chun's live broadcast online was about 1.5 million. After Chen Feier appeared, the number skyrocketed in just a few minutes. Many fans who got the news came to watch the fun, and the server was almost overcrowded. Currently, WeLTV has had a lot of live broadcasts of celebrity artists, but it was the first time that a celebrity couple played a live broadcast at the same time. Not to mention that Lu Chun and Chen Feier were the hottest couple in the entertainment industry at present. News on the internet was transmitted at the speed of light. blogs, Tieba forums, QQ groups. One spread 10 spread 100. Countless people who had never played WhaleTV before followed the link and clicked in. However, in the case of so many online viewers, Lu Chen's live broadcast room was very clean. Everyone consciously followed the watching etiquette, and there were not many barrage that interfered with their line of sight. There were also some people who were too excited or deliberately messed up, and were kicked on the spot by the super administrator. Chun Fei dared to make trouble during a live broadcast. There's no discussion about banning you. This live broadcast of a celebrity couple without prior arrangements was simply a godsend for WhaleTV. Usually, a lot of money might not be able to bring about the effect, and the officials would never allow anyone to destroy it. Unfortunately, Chun Fei was just playing on a whim and didn't think about playing for long. After singing, she smiled sweetly at the microphone and said, "I came across the sea to see you. I hope everyone will like it. Also, my new album will be released next week, and I hope everyone will support me at that time." The heavenly queen of the music industry playfully cupped her fists and saluted, and then returned the guitar to Lu Chan. The fans in the live broadcast room exploded again. "Ah! Sister Fei, don't go, sing one more song for us. It's so good. Can't you sing one more song? Stay, I beg you to stay. I'll buy all your albums, I just want to sing one more song," crying. 555, I want to hear it one more time. Sing one more song +1. All kinds of begging and whining, just to let Chun Fei continue to sing, and more fans used practical actions to keep her stay. Rewards. Fish balls and whatnot were already too weak, it was simply child's play. The local tycoons directly boarded the aircraft carriers. On the screen, one after another, the densely packed aircraft carriers covered the field of vision, and the number was terrifying. Among the many anchors in WhaleTV, many of them had not been able to earn 1 or 2 aircraft carriers in a live broadcast for a year or two, but Chun Fei just showed her face and sang a song, and easily earned hundreds of aircraft carriers. In fact, the share earned from these rewards could make many well-known anchors faint with excitement, but Chun Fei did not feel anything special. She only had a little understanding of online live broadcast, and had not yet realized the horror of rewards. But she could still clearly feel the enthusiasm of the fans. Thank you very much, everyone. If you want to hear more good songs, then buy the album. Heavenly Queen Chun had seen all kinds of scenes. Although she was moved, she did not satisfy the fans' wishes, because after singing the second song, everyone would definitely ask for a third song, and then it would be endless. She cleverly gave her new album another wave of advertising, and then decisively left. The live broadcast room was suddenly filled with sorrow. Lu Chan sat back in his seat, coughed and said, "Thank you for your support, everyone. How about this, I'll sing this song again for everyone." Although the fans complained, they knew that they could not force it. Although there were still dissatisfied voices, most of them understood. In order to appease everyone's emotions, Lu Chan sang "Crossing the Sea to See You Again." In his dream memory, this song had been covered by many famous singers in different styles, each with its own flavor and characteristics. It had become a classic that had lasted for a long time. They were both playing the piano and singing, but compared to Chun Fei's graceful and gentle singing, Lu Chen's singing was more tough and full of vicissitudes, deepening the depth of emotion, and containing a bit of folk song flavor. It was equally good. For millions of fans, being able to hear 2 different interpretations of a brand new song was definitely a very enjoyable and interesting thing. It was a precious experience. It was not until 11 o'clock in the evening that Lu Chan ended the live broadcast. In the end, he sang until his throat was a little dry. Of course, his harvest was not small. His share of rewards from the props alone had reached more than 1 million. Even though Lu Chen's vision was not the same as before, and the projects he aimed for were in the millions or tens of millions, this extra income made him sigh at the enthusiasm of the fans. However, at least half of the 1 million was brought by Chun Fei. So much. Chun Fei was reading the script in the bedroom and had not slept yet. When she heard the report from Lu Chan, she could not help but feel surprised. Wasn't this money too easy to earn? She had only shown her face for less than 10 minutes, and the key point was that she earned it at home through the internet. Lu Chan lay down beside her and said with a smile, "When the money is in the account, I will transfer half to you. Is it necessary?" Chun Fei rolled her eyes at him impatiently. Did the dignified heavenly queen need to care about this small amount of money? The relationship between the two did not need to be so clear. Lu Chun was determined not to live off a woman. He thought about it and said, "How about this? I will deposit this money into another card. In the future, when we go out to play or eat, we will use this card. What do you think?" Chun Feier's eyes lit up, and she even put the script aside. Love fund? That's a good idea. Her eyes were watery, and she passionately kissed him. Lu Chun was a strong young man in his 20s. How could he withstand such teasing? He immediately hugged her and pressed her against his body, ready to enjoy the beauty's tenderness and sweetness. Chun Feier giggled and blocked him, saying, "Wait, let me tell you about the new script first." Lu Chun was depressed. If he had known it would be like this, he would not have taken out the script. What a waste of a beautiful romantic night. Chapter 340. Lu Chun had written the script of Full House of Romance in great detail. It could be published as a novel with a few edits. It was printed out in a thick stack. Chun Feier read it very seriously, so she could not finish it even after a few hours. However, she already knew the story in her heart. It was a romantic comedy. Chun Feier liked the script very much, especially the characters of the male and female leads. She played the role of a web novelist, which was also a very popular profession. It was interesting to think about the different sparks between her and Lu Chun, who played the role of a big star. However, there were some details that she needed to clarify. Otherwise, she would not be able to sleep well at night. At Chun Feier's level, fame and fortune were no longer the goals that she pursued. Her only wish was to improve her career and enter a wider world. The success of Autumn in My Heart allowed her to take a big step forward smoothly. This new drama was not only the icing on the cake, but it also laid the foundation for her in the film and television industry. How could she not care about it? Lu Chun said, "I'm going to make two versions of this new drama, the Chinese version and the Korean version. The names of the characters in the Chinese version will be changed. It will be different from the script that you're reading now. At that time, the novel and the drama will be released at the same time. In addition, we'll cooperate with SPG to add the Korean plot. We'll shoot in Seoul and Jeju Island, which will be more conducive to expanding the Korean market." 2 months was enough for Lu Chun to carefully sort out the plan for the shooting of the new drama: investors, partners, plot settings, story background, shooting location, publicity and marketing, etc., all of which he had a plan in mind. If Autumn in My Heart was a work that entered the market, then Full House of Romance was a weapon to occupy the market. It was used to reap the benefits. Autumn in My Heart was expected to bring more than 30 million to him and the studio. As for Full House of Romance, Lu Chun's target was more than 50 million. This was not something unbelievable. Product placement, domestic premiere and rebroadcast, online copyright, overseas copyright, novel adaptation, anime adaptation. The benefits of a popular IP were extremely shocking. Big investment for Full House of Romance would definitely be bigger than Autumn in My Blood. How could he not rack his brains for such a huge profit? Therefore, in the face of Chun Feier's inquiry, Lu Chun spoke with fervor and assurance without the slightest hesitation, appearing to have a card up his sleeve. There was a saying that people who were serious and hard-working were the most charming. At this moment in Chun Feier's eyes, Lu Chun was undoubtedly a very charming man. His expression was focused, his eyes were bright, and he was full of confidence. It was this confidence that caused Chun Feier to be moved again. She mischievously hooked her foot around Lu Chun's calf, gently rubbing against it as she gradually moved upwards. Her eyes shone with a charming light. Lu Chun wasn't stupid. As he spoke, he felt that something was wrong. After discovering the truth, he flew into a rage and could no longer hold back. With a low growl, he pinned Chun Feier under his body. Suddenly, the room was filled with the light of spring. The night was long, but people who loved each other would never be lonely. Similarly, Whale2 was not lonely. The next morning, this one of the top 3 live broadcasting platforms in the country published a large format advertisement on the homepage, congratulating the star anchor for receiving more than 1 million yuan in a single live broadcast. This star anchor was, of course, Lu Chun. Last night, Lu Chun's 3-hour live broadcast earned a total of 1.37 million yuan in gifts. According to the proportion of the contract, he received more than 1 million yuan. This was the first time since the establishment of Whale TV. If they didn't advertise, they would really be struck by lightning. Limited to copyright issues, Whale TV did not dare to use Chun Fair as an advertisement. However, this kind of publicity was enough to attract the attention of many star artists and media in the circle. Many media outlets forwarded the publicity draft of Whale TV. Some online entertainment websites even attached Chun Fair's live broadcast video, giving Whale TV a large wave of free advertisements. The focus of the media was not the same. Some commented on the live broadcast with more than 1 million yuan, and introduced the current hot emerging network industry and how to attract attention. Some were concerned about the situation of Lu Chun and Chun Fair. They seriously analyzed that the two were living together. Their career was developing rapidly, and their relationship was also very stable, so they came out to show their love. Many star artists, especially those small stars and new artists, were mostly shocked by the high income of online live broadcasting. Many of them worked hard to get notices, but after a year they didn't really get much. Seeing that Lu Chun could easily earn more than 1 million yuan by rapping and singing on the computer, how could they not be envious and jealous? As for the vast number of fans, they didn't care about the millions of yuan. What they cared about was when Lu Chun's new drama would start shooting, and when Chun Fair's new album would go on sale. Of course, there was also the high ratings of Autumn in My Heart in South Korea. On April 15th, 16th and 17th, KGS broadcasted the 11th to 13th episodes of Autumn in My Heart. Following last week, the ratings of Autumn in My Heart broke the 20% mark. This Chinese drama made great strides on the South Korean TV screen, successfully creating a new record of 30% plus, reaching 31.5%. This rating was already the highest record of any imported Chinese drama in South Korea. And it was infinitely close to MBC's Queen's Power, whose latest episode's rating was 33.29%. The difference between the two was only more than 2%. Such a situation caused an uproar in the South Korean film and television industry, because people with discerning eyes could see that after nearly 30 episodes of Queen's Power, the potential for increase in ratings was basically exhausted. It was already commendable to maintain around 30%, and it was unlikely to continue to climb. In contrast, the increase in ratings of Autumn in My Heart was simply terrible, as if there was no end in sight. If this was a South Korean drama, everyone would be either envious or cheering, but this was a Chinese drama. For a time, the media cried wolf, thinking that the Korean wave, which had once made the people proud, was in danger of being counterattacked, and the domestic market was about to be invaded by imported dramas, so they had to be vigilant. These South Korean media must have exaggerated the facts, and were suspected of playing to the gallery. The success of Autumn in My Heart was just an example, but from the side they could see a lot of interesting things. That was, the structure of the market was changing. Lu Chun was undoubtedly one of the key figures who stirred up the storm. On April 16th, Chun Fair's new album launched an online crowdfunding campaign on the crowdfunding website. Chapter 341. On April 16th, Chun Fair's new album began online crowdfunding and was released on QQ Music on the same night. This Woman Flower album was Chun Fair's transformational work. It has been delayed for half a year and has already attracted wide attention inside and outside the circle. Coupled with the early publicity and marketing, it showed a rainbow momentum as soon as it was released. QQ Music was officially released at 7:30, and by 9:30, the sales had exceeded 100,000 copies. Shocking the industry. Nowadays, domestic pop music and pop singers have long passed the era of relying on selling albums to support their families. The miracle of a record selling millions or even tens of millions only exists in memories. The great development of the entertainment industry and the rampant online piracy have made singers no longer rely on record sales. Commercial and advertising endorsements are the king of making money. So nowadays, even if it was a well-known singer, with the simultaneous release of online digital records and physical CD records, it would be considered a success if the combined sales could reach 200,000 to 300,000. The achievement of a platinum record is worth holding a celebration party. Nowadays, it is very common for albums to be released online. Generally speaking, the sales in the first 3 days, that is 72 hours, often account for 1/3 or even half of the total sales. Especially the sales on the first day are particularly important. There has always been a popular album sales formula in the industry, which calculates the approximate total sales based on the sales on the first day. But this announcement is obviously not suitable for the sales in 2 hours. 100,000 copies in 2 hours, this is going against the natural order. It should be known that for most singers, if the sales volume exceeds 100,000 copies within 72 hours of release, plus the number of physical records sold, and enough time is accumulated, it is not a big problem to win the achievement of platinum record. This is already the result they dream of. But Chun Fair broke through in 2 hours. Platinum record is not a problem at all. Crown record with sales of 5 million is out of the question. But diamond record with sales of 1 million is already expected. When did the last diamond record in the domestic pop music scene appear? Many people have forgotten. If the best-selling album last year, Liu Chen's You Who Sat Next to Me, can be counted as one, and MSB's Not Yet Lovers can also be counted as one. In particular, all 10 songs of the You Who Sat Next to Me album were on the original music chart. However, compared to Woman Flower, which had just been released, the 2 rookie albums were overshadowed. A Heavenly Queen was indeed a heavenly queen. Even if it was a transformational work with the anticipation accumulated in the early stages, coupled with the recent explosion of popularity due to Autumn in My Heart, and her own deep foundation, Chun Fair's first move had beaten all the albums of the same period into pieces. There was no one who could compete with her. If all the singers who have released albums on QQ Music, NetEase Music, pop radio stations and so on during this period are called together for a meeting, then Chun Fair can stand up proudly and say, "Everyone here is trash." When the official V of Chun Fair's studio and the fan group posted the 2-hour sales data on their blog, it immediately caused a great sensation both inside and outside the circle. Of course, the fans cheered and jumped in joy. They congratulated their idol for creating a sales miracle and wished him a successful transition in advance. All of Chun Fair's friends in the entertainment circle sent him congratulatory messages. Even many VIPs outside of the entertainment circle sent their blessings. However, the music industry was silent. Many pop music-related media and professionals fell silent. They were all studying Chun Fair's new album. Several of the 10 songs in the new album have been released in advance, such as Your Eyes, which fans are already familiar with. This song is the only duet between a man and a woman in the album. With the popularity of Autumn in My Heart, it has become popular abroad. Also, Chun Fair's recent live broadcast of Crossing the Sea to See You, although it was only an impromptu version, also became popular on the internet and was forwarded many times on blogs. Whether it was intentional or unintentional, it was part of the album's marketing publicity, from which one could also get a glimpse of the style and characteristics of the whole album. With this Woman Flower album, it was already clear that Chun Fair had shifted from sweet songs to love songs. Both leaked works were 100% love songs. Based on the quality of these 2 songs alone, the sales of the new album would not be low, not to mention Chun Fair's strength. The most important thing was Liu Chan. Liu Chan not only tailor-made half of the album for Chun Fair, but also personally supervised the production. With such a strong collaboration, it would be strange if Woman Flower sold poorly. Therefore, the industry had expected that the album would sell well, but they never expected it to be so popular. The number of 100,000 copies sold in 2 hours was really incredible. Whether it was out of professionalism, pure curiosity, or ulterior motives, many people in the industry carried out a careful analysis of Woman Flower at the first time. On the one hand, they wanted to determine whether the sales of 100,000 in 2 hours were exaggerated. After all, as long as they were willing to spend money, not to mention 100,000, even 1 million sales could be achieved. However, no one would be stupid enough to spend such a high price to increase the ranking. The key was the quality of the album itself. Buying could only be successful for a while, the quality was the basis for long-term hot sales. On the other hand, those entertainment agencies studied the hot albums, which was also to prepare for following the trend. If Chun Fair's new album sold out, then following the trend would definitely not be a loss. Just like the ratings of Autumn in My Heart broke the charts, and now several film and television companies were making the same type of TV series. At 10:30 p.m., the sales of Woman Flower reached 140,000 copies, and the growth momentum slowed down slightly. This was a very normal situation because the fans bought it explosively. As time went by, the buying potential of the market would gradually be consumed, so the sales figures in the first 3 days were the most important. At the same time, comments related to the new album were released on the internet. Donghu Lu's practitioner, a well-known blogger and music critic of Waves, wrote in his long blog post, "I just listened to Miss Chen Feier's new album Woman Flower, and I couldn't help but want to say something because if I don't say something, I'm afraid I won't be able to sleep at night. What I want to say is that the biggest surprise in the pop music world this year is undoubtedly Chen Feier's new album. She completed a very successful transformation. From the beginning to the end of the album, there was no disappointment throughout the whole process, and there were continuous surprises and climaxes. In the impression of many people, including myself, Chen Feier can only sing sweet songs. She has a naturally good voice for singing sweet songs, and her works have left us countless good memories. This album let us see another Chen Feier, a beautiful, mature, and emotional Chen Feier. She redefined love songs. In my heart, my favorite is the title song Woman Flower. Chen Feier's gentle interpretation of this work is intoxicating, and the traditional nostalgic style has a special charm. If I were to give this album a score, then I would give it a score of 9. 9 out of 10. Donghu Lu's practitioner is an editor of a fashion magazine, and a part-time writer, film critic and music critic. He has a high level of professionalism, with more than 2 million blog fans, and his articles are very popular among blog netizens. This well-known blogger has a unique view of domestic pop music, and he is also a member of the judging panel of the Asian Chinese Top Songs chart. Whether it is a film review or a music review, he can often hit the nail on the head. The most praiseworthy thing is that Donghu Lu's practitioner doesn't sell his ass in integrity. He doesn't speak with money, so his reviews are very credible and valued by the industry. In this blog post, Donghu Lu's practitioner is full of praise for Chen Feier's new album Woman Flower. To the point that people doubt his integrity. Out of 10, I give it a score of 9. 9. Many people can't help but ask, is it really that good? The answer is obviously yes. At least 90% of the review articles that have sprung up in blogs, forums, and post bars are positive, attracting the attention of more and more pop music lovers. Many people were not originally Chen Feier's fans. After seeing these review articles, they couldn't help but be curious, so they went to QQ Music to buy downloads. A high-quality digital album is only 10 yuan, and the membership price is 20% off. No one can't afford it. This further pushed up the sales of Woman Flower. By 7:30 p.m. the next day, the sales in the first 24 hours exceeded the 300,000 mark. There is no doubt that this is a new record for the online sale of a domestic pop album in the past decade. In addition to the sales bonus brought about by the star effect, the quality of the work itself is the key. The total sales of this album in the industry has been raised to 1.5 million to 2 million copies. If there is no accident, Chen Feier has been booked to win this year's Best Album Award in the pop music industry, because such a result can sweep away all opponents and make people speechless. If you want to engage in shady business, you have to step on your face to the ground. But for Chen Feier, no matter how good the sales of the digital album is, the money earned is only a small amount. The real big money lies in the crowdfunding project on the online crowdfunding website. The crowdfunding project for physical album sales of Woman Flower has a total of 5 package options. The lowest hardcover CD record crowdfunding price is 28 yuan, and a full 70,000 sets have been sold, while the highest Supreme Edition set crowdfunding price is 588 yuan, and more than 3,000 sets have been ordered. This makes people have to sigh at the strong purchasing power of fans. The total amount of crowdfunding in the 24 hours since it was launched was as high as 4.5 million plus, and 150% of the pre-funding goal has been completed, and the entire crowdfunding project lasted for 10 days. Such dazzling sales results have made many entertainment record companies jealous. And many people in the industry have not ignored the existence behind the success of Chen Feier's new album. Lu Chen. Chapter 342. Since entering the new century, the domestic entertainment industry has flourished, and the market pie has become bigger and bigger. But the status of original pop music has declined. In the 1980s and 1990s, a singer with a little fame could live well by selling albums, tapes and CDs, and then attend parties or concerts. They definitely belonged to the ranks of high-income people. Some singers even relied on 1 or 2 works to make a living for 10 or 20 years. However, with the development of the market, more and more people entered the industry, and the new generation of idol stars emerged one after another. Big speed of the replacement of artists accelerated, and the industry competition tended to be white-hot. The rise of the internet led to the decline of the traditional record industry, forcing singers to find another way to live. Under the influence of Japanese and Korean idol culture, domestic artists also began to embark on the road of no return in marketing packaging. It was no longer enough to sing well. One must be handsome, beautiful, unique, and know how to promote and hype. Many singers were unwilling to sink to the bottom, and many singers changed their image to cater to the market. As a result, the power of original works was not valued. Imitation and plagiarism became the trend in the circle. The development of domestic pop music was difficult, and it became a battlefield for talent shows. Many musicians were worried about this phenomenon and cried out loudly, but their voices seemed so insignificant in the context of the entire industry. Like a stone thrown into a lake, there was only a ripple and then there was no sound. The rise of Lu Chan in the pop music world was undoubtedly like a fresh wind, making people feel the breath of spring. At the beginning, his influence was still very limited. A talent show champion could not prove or change anything. At most, it made people admire the emergence of a musical genius. And the title of musical genius was not a rare thing. But with the release of his debut album, You Who Sat Next to Me, people in the industry suddenly discovered that with a sincere and excellent work, one could still obtain honor, status, and benefits. His success was a big inspiration for domestic original works. The simplest example is the asking price of Lu Chen's songwriting. His current offer to the public is 500,000 yuan, which directly raises the price of the top author by a lot, and in disguise, increases the treatment of the original author. Others might be scolded for doing such a thing, but Lu Chan proved his value with his strength, the value of an original writer. Whether it was In the Spring or Not Yet Lovers, he made people believe that with solid works, real stars could be created. Then there was Chun Feier's Woman Flower album. From the title song Woman Flower to Your Eyes, Crossing the Sea to See You, Hello Tomorrow, Meeting and Sea of People, 6 works, 6 unique love songs, Lu Chan once again showed his strength, but also pushed Chun Feier to a new height. It was as if he had a pair of miraculous hands that could turn stone into gold and turn something rotten into something magical. Woman Flower was an album of love songs, but the style tended to be diverse. Listeners of different ages could find works suitable for them and find bosom friends. Such an approach was actually very bold, especially for a transformational work. It was simply a risk, but good enough works made the risk a gorgeous show-off. The second day, the third day, the sales of Chun Feier's new album, whether it was on the QQ Music platform or the online crowdfunding platform, climbed steadily. Although the growth rate continued to decline, it was a benign slowdown. Correspondingly, the album's reputation in and out of the circle continued to ferment. For people in the industry, what they saw through this album was the transformation of Chun Feier, the powerful creative strength possessed by Lu Chan, and the impact on the market pattern. And for the vast number of fans, they didn't care about this. They knew that the songs were good. There was more than one good song, and the arrangement and soundtrack were top-notch, full of sincerity. In just 3 days, the total sales of the digital version and physical CD version of the Woman Flower album, including the package, exceeded 700,000 plus, setting a new record in the domestic pop music industry in the past decade. There was no suspense in achieving diamond record. Under such circumstances, Chun Feier herself couldn't sit still. Before the album was released, she had a hunch that it would be very successful. After all, with so much effort and painstaking effort, coupled with the full support of Lu Chan, there was no reason for it to fail. But she didn't expect it to be so successful. Big underestimated the support of her fans. Therefore, Chun Feier had to give up enjoying the sweet time with Lu Chan and leave Beijing in advance to launch a promotional tour in major cities all over the country. The better the market is, the more publicity is needed, and the better the effect of publicity is. If she missed the best publicity opportunity at present, it would be twice the effort and half the result if she wanted to hype after that. And Lu Chun couldn't stay idle. His first priority was not to shoot a new play but to move. After more than a month of construction and renovation, Lu Chun's studio in the New Era Art Center was finally ready to move in. So on the second day after Chun Fei left Beijing, Lu Chun and Lu Shi moved to a new home together. The area of the new studio reached 1,000 square meters, which was divided from the original Yu Jizhong art studio. It was divided into 2 floors and the location was very superior. Lu Chun built a brand new recording studio in the new studio and purchased a batch of the most advanced equipment, making the total cost of moving to a new home more than 15 million yuan, which took a large part of the studio's funds. But the results of this investment were very obvious. In the future, the studio would be able to independently complete all the work such as composition, arrangement, accompaniment, recording and post-production. Except for distribution, there was no need for outsourcing. In other words, from the point of view of music production, Lu Chun's studio had full autonomy. In addition to meeting its own needs, it could also undertake external business, and its strength surpassed many small music companies. On the day of moving to the new home, many peers in the circle sent banners and flower baskets, including Beijing Television Station, Haijin Television Station, Zhidong Television Station, Flying Stone Records SPG, Crown Pictures, Chenda Brothers, Light Rain Media, as well as friends such as Tanhong Liaojia, Lin Jijia MSN and so on. That night, Lu Chun came forward to host a banquet at the Regent Hotel in Beijing to entertain all kinds of people. Unknowingly, he already had a considerable amount of connections in the capital's social circle. And now it was less than a year since Lu Chun officially debuted last year. Chapter 343. Do you think this dress is okay for me? In the suite of the Regent Hotel, Chun Fei stood in front of the full-length mirror, swaying her waist slightly. She was more than 1.7 meters tall. Although she didn't reach the standard of a supermodel, she was well-proportioned. She was big and thin when she should be big. It could be said that she was too fat if she was a little bit more, and too thin if she was a little bit less. Therefore, no matter what kind of clothes she wore, she always looked stylish, not to mention Chanel's long dress. Chun Fei was a loyal fan of Chanel. She was also one of the celebrities who endorsed the international brand in China. Lu Chun stood next to her and said helplessly, "You look good in anything." He couldn't understand women's obsession with clothes. It was understandable that Chun Fei needed a lot of clothes to change into because she was a celebrity. But his sister, Lu Shi, had a closet full of new clothes in the 6 months she had been in the capital. That night, Lu Chun was hosting a housewarming party for the guests at the Regent Hotel. Chun Fei had rushed back to the capital from Haijin in the evening. The clothes she wanted to wear were delivered to the hotel in the afternoon. She had even booked an extra room to change into, because among the clothes that were delivered, there were as many as 7 sets of long dresses, and he had already tried on 4 sets. Lu Chun was impressed. "Let's go downstairs. Everyone is here." "What are you panicking about?" Chun Fei rolled her eyes at him angrily. "I'm wearing beautiful clothes, isn't it, to support you?" Lu Chun hugged her from behind and said with a smile, "You're already very beautiful. How can you let others live if you're even more beautiful? Let's go with this one. I think it's very suitable." Chun Fei smiled and said, "Fine. I didn't come all the way back from Haijin in vain." Lu Chun kissed her on the neck. In the impression of others, especially her fans, Chun Fei was always so beautiful and bright. She was like an otherworldly fairy, a superstar that everyone envied. Lu Chun once had a similar feeling, but since the two fell in love, he knew that behind Chun Fei's dazzling brilliance, what was hidden was her hard work and efforts. Just like Lu Chun has to exercise and practice martial arts every morning, Chun Fei has always insisted on bodybuilding and doing yoga, so she can keep her figure so perfect. She is even more willing to spend time and money on skincare, so she is still beautiful without any makeup. She was never careless with her work. Her schedule was full of events, commercial performances, endorsements, media interviews and so on. Even though she was so busy with her work, Chun Fei didn't neglect her relationship with Lu Chun. For example, she went to Haijin to promote her new album this morning, and came back to attend Lu Chun Studio's housewarming party in the evening. She was the female lead. To be honest, without a strong heart and perseverance, it was difficult for ordinary people to bear such a high-intensity life. Chun Fei enjoyed it and worked hard to push her career to greater heights. She didn't lack anything. The source of her hard work came from her faith. It was this dedication to faith that made her have a different kind of charm, which deeply attracted Lu Chun. Lu Chun felt something and whispered in her ear, "I love you." A simple "I love you" made Chun Fei's pretty face blush. She turned around and leaned into Lu Chun's arms, standing on tiptoe to give him a kiss. The kiss was intoxicating, and the fire of love burned silently. It wasn't until the phone suddenly rang in the room that the two woke up. The entangled lips separated and Chun Fei stuck out her tongue guiltily and said, "It must be to rush me." Lu Chun chuckled, let go of her and answered the phone. It was Lu Shi who called. She asked him why the main character hadn't shown up when the banquet had already begun. Why did he leave all the guests in the banquet hall? Lu Chun didn't dare to refute and could only say yes. Chun Fei took the opportunity to tidy up her appearance and put on lipstick. She smiled and took Lu Chun's arm. "Let's go down." They took the elevator down to the banquet hall. Just as the two of them walked to the door, a guy in a short vest suddenly jumped out from the emergency staircase next to them. He held an SLR camera and took several photos of the two of them. Kacha. Both of them were shocked. Lu Chun instinctively protected Chun Fei behind him. Finding out that the other party was a paparazzi, Lu Chun was speechless. He didn't know how long this guy had been waiting here without being discovered by the hotel's security staff. Lu Chun's studio didn't invite any media reporters for the moving house during the day and the housewarming banquet at night, because Lu Chun didn't need or disdain to use this kind of small news to hype up. But there were still reporters who came uninvited. "What are you doing?" However, there was a security guard at the door of the banquet hall. Seeing this scene, he was furious and immediately rushed up to teach the paparazzi a lesson. Lu Chun quickly stopped the security guard and said, "It's okay. Forget it." If the security guard really beat the paparazzi, maybe there would be negative news about him in the entertainment section tomorrow. Besides, it was a housewarming banquet in the evening, so there was no need to make a big deal out of it. He nodded to the paparazzi and then entered the banquet hall with Chun Fei. All the guests had arrived. Because there were a lot of guests invited, and most of them were people in the circle, the banquet tonight was in the form of a Western-style buffet, which was casual and convenient for communication. When Lu Chun and Chun Fei appeared, everyone's eyes were focused on them. In fact, this was the first time that the two of them appeared in public as a couple after they announced their relationship. Chun Fei's pretty face was slightly red, but she still gracefully held Lu Chun's arm and greeted the guests. After some greetings, Lu Chun and Chun Fei temporarily separated. He took a glass of red wine, then walked to the performance stage in the banquet hall and asked the hotel waiter to bring him a microphone. The guests spontaneously gathered around. After getting the microphone, Lu Chun said, "Thank you very much for attending this banquet, my friends and colleagues. Thank you for your support for Lu Chun's studio. I won't say anything else. Eat and drink well." He raised his glass and said, "Thank you." There was a soft laugh in the crowd, and everyone raised their glasses together. Cheers! It was not a very important banquet, purely a favor, so the atmosphere at the banquet was very relaxed. After Lu Chun finished speaking, he got off the stage, and the band arranged by the hotel began to play light music. Lu Chun. Several men and women came over. It was Li Mubai, Li Mushi, Chan Qian and Su Daiwan. It was Su Daiwan who greeted Lu Chun. Lu Chun was pleasantly surprised. "Sister-in-law, why are you here?" Lu Chun sent invitations to both Li Mubai and Li Mushi. The latter sent a big flower basket to Lu Chun's studio on behalf of Mukin crowdfunding. He originally thought that only Li Mubai would come in the evening. Nowadays, Mukin crowdfunding is not what it used to be. Relying on the Li family's powerful network resources and a new fundraising model, the scale of the website has been expanding. Every day there are many new projects online for crowdfunding which has already made profits in advance. The valuation of the online crowdfunding has increased tenfold than before, and overseas companies and international versions have been put into operation. Li Mushi is ambitiously preparing to seek listing on the growth enterprise market next year, and the rapid development has made the industry look at her. Li Mushi monopolizes the power of the company, plus the opening of a branch in the United States, so she often flies back and forth across the Pacific Ocean. Lu Chun was really surprised to see her here tonight. Congratulations on your studio moving to a new house, Su Dewan said with a smile. Business is booming, Lu Chun said with a smile. Thank you. Where's big brother Murong? Li Mubai answered first. My big brother is in the United States. There is a Wall Street venture capital that wants to inject capital into the online crowdfunding. At first, Li Murong, representing the Li family, bought the online crowdfunding from Lu Chun. First of all, it was to give Li Mushi, who had just returned from overseas, a test of her skills, and also to find something for Li Mubai to do, so that he wouldn't be idle all day. But both Li Murong and Li Mushi underestimated the potential of this new way of raising funds, especially after obtaining creative copyright protection in China and Europe and the United States. The capital market keenly sniffed the smell of interests. After successfully completing a number of crowdfunding projects, the number of funds that came to Mukin crowdfunding to invest money suddenly increased, leading to a continuous rise in the valuation of the online crowdfunding. As a result, Li Murong couldn't stay out of it. The eldest of the Li family is now in the United States to help manage the affairs of the overseas branch of the online crowdfunding. The Li family's investment has undoubtedly made a lot of money, and as the initiator of the online crowdfunding, Lu Chun, who sold most of his shares, didn't feel that he had suffered any big loss. Although the idea of the online crowdfunding was put forward by him, without the support and management of the Li family, it would have been impossible to have its present success. The biggest possibility was that he couldn't even get a copyright protection certificate at the beginning, and his creativity was imitated and surpassed by others. As a result, in the end, he didn't get much money back after throwing it in, and his main business was delayed. Now, the higher the valuation of the online crowdfunding, the better, because Lu Chun still retains 10% of the original shares. Once it is successfully listed, he will immediately become a billionaire. What else is there to be dissatisfied with? To be a man, one must know how to be content. The most taboo thing is to be greedy and insatiable. If he is still dissatisfied with this, what benefits can he get apart from being alienated from the Li family? That would be too stupid. While speaking, Li Mushi handed over a beautifully packaged briefcase. This is our congratulatory gift to you. Congratulatory gift? Lu Chun couldn't help but be stunned, and instinctively took it. Thank you. Li Mubai winked at him. Open it and have a look. Lu Chun knew that this must be a very special congratulatory gift, so he didn't stand on ceremony and opened the seal on the spot. As a result, he found a document and 2 certificates hidden in the briefcase. Chapter 344. In fact, when he received it, Lu Chun had already guessed what the Li family's gift was. He had experienced the gift-giving routine before, and it was still the same familiar feeling. The document was the approval document of the Chun Fei Charity Foundation, and the certificate was the foundation's legal person and practice certificate. With these 3 things, the Chun Fei Charity Foundation, jointly established by Lu Chun and Chun Fei, had a legal identity from now on. It could raise money from the public and carry out charity work in the country. This gift was not easy to come by. The domestic charity industry had experienced a period of chaos and disorder. There were many official and private charities, and there were many people who fished in troubled waters. As a result, there were a lot of scandals. It should have been a very positive charity work, but it was covered with a thick layer of dust, causing a considerable negative social impact. Some so-called charities only raised 10% of the money for charity activities. A large amount of money was unknown or was swallowed and transferred. After it was exposed, the public's trust was seriously reduced. Under such circumstances, the relevant departments of the country began to rectify the charity organizations, severely cracking down on a group of speculators who cheated on others and carried out strict control at the source. Therefore, it was very difficult to register a charity foundation now. When Lu Chun decided to set up the foundation, he did not consider the difficulty. However, he was right to ask the Li family for help, and it was only now that it was approved. There was also a very important reason. As the legal representative of the foundation, Lu Chun had a very good image in the public as a star artist. Otherwise, it would be useless for the Li family to come forward. But no matter what, Lu Chun had to accept this great favor from the Li family. After solving the predicament of his family, Lu Chun wanted to do something for society and others. He did charity not to fish for fame, but to let himself have a clear conscience. Because he was able to obtain today's achievements, status and fame, basically from the memory of a dream. This precious and incomparably heavy wealth came so easily that it made Lu Chan feel very unreal. He did not want to only use this wealth of memory to satisfy his personal selfish desires and lie on it for the rest of his life. Instead, he wanted to use a part of it to help those in need, so that he could be worthy of God's love. Thank you. Lu Chan sincerely thanked Li Mushi and Su Daiwan. Su Daiwan smiled and said, "You're welcome. Actually, I have a presumptuous request." Lu Chan quickly said, "Go ahead, sister-in-law." Su Daiwan said, "Does your foundation still need people? I want to be a part of it and have something to do." Lu Chan smiled and said, "It's great that you can join. You can choose the position of director or secretary." Su Daiwan said, "I'll be a director. I'll donate another 2 million. Lu Chan originally wanted to decline, but after thinking about it, he still nodded. All right. He could tell that Su Daiwan really wanted to do some charity work, not spend money for the sake of a position in the foundation. Even if she didn't donate a cent and asked for a director position, would Lu Chan refuse? However, Lu Chan was still a little worried. "Sister-in-law, is Brother Murong okay?" Su Daiwan said with a smile. "He's staying in the United States by himself. It's boring for me to be alone at home. It's just the right time to do good and accumulate virtue." Lu Chan smiled and said, "Aren't you going to release an album? I still owe you an album." Su Daiwan is a native of Taipei, Taiwan. She was once very popular on the island. She made her debut at the age of 19 and won the championship of the Island Performing Arts Award. With her natural voice and outstanding appearance and temperament, she became a rising star. At the age of 21, Su Daiwan released her debut album Light Snow and Early Sunshine. At the same time, she pushed her singing career to the peak and was regarded as the future heavenly queen of the singing world. However, to everyone's surprise, only 2 years after her debut, when her star path was brilliant, Su Daiwan suddenly retreated from the pop music world and disappeared from the public's sight. Very few people knew that Su Daiwan married Li Murong and lived in seclusion in Beijing. If she hadn't retired, her achievements would never have been worse than Chan Feier's. When Lu Chan visited the Li family, he met Li Murong and his wife and promised to help Su Daiwan make an album. At that time, Su Daiwan was very moved, but later there was no follow-up. Lu Chan still remembers this. Of course, Su Daiwan didn't forget. She said with a smile, "I really want to, but I'm afraid that you, Li Gu, will be uncomfortable. Besides, I've been out of the singing world for so many years, and my mind has long faded, but..." She pulled Chan Qian over and said, "If you intend to return the favor, give it to my sister." Chan Qian has been hiding behind the three of them without speaking. When she was pulled out by her sister to face Lu Chan, she reluctantly said, "Brother Lu Chan, hello?" Lu Chan nodded with a smile. "Hello." He hasn't seen her for a while. The rebellious girl has obviously matured a lot, at least she knows how to be polite. He doesn't mind returning the favor. "What do you like, singing or acting?" Chan Qian's eyes lit up and she said, "I heard that you're going to shoot a new TV series recently. Can you give me a role?" Lu Chan replied without hesitation, "No problem. His new TV series is very popular. God knows how many people have come to him in a roundabout way to ask for a role. Several important supporting roles have already been booked. But it's not a problem to arrange for Chan Qian." Chan Qian was delighted. "Thank you." She is not a professional actor. She wants to act purely out of novelty and fun. Of course, the role that Lu Chan gives her will not be an important one. Lu Chan glanced around and happened to catch a glimpse of Chan Fei talking to Sister Li not far away, so he reached out and greeted them. Chan Fei and Sister Li came over. Lu Chan said with a smile, "Fei, Sister Li, let me introduce you. This is Sister Diane." Chan Fei was pleasantly surprised. "Why are you here?" Su Daiwan said with a smile, "Sister Fei, long time no see." This time, it was Lu Chen's turn to be surprised. "So the two of you have known each other for a long time?" Chan Fei said with a smile, "When I went to Taiwan to perform, I sang on the same stage with Sister Daiwan." The two of them really had a period of friendship. Naturally, it was a pleasant surprise to meet again after a long time. Lu Chan then introduced Sister Li to Su Daiwan. sisterly promised to be the chairman of the charity foundation and help the two of them manage this business. She has long heard of Su Daiwan. The banquet was bustling and filled with guests. This lively banquet full of surprises had just begun. Chapter 345. In the New Era Art Park, Luchun Studio. Compared with the original place, the new studio was not only several times larger, but the layout was also far from the original office building. In order to build this new home, Luchun also specially commissioned a very famous design company in the capital to design and construct the decoration and construction. He paid 500,000 yuan for the design fee alone, which was considered a friendship price. As the saying goes, you get what you pay for. The new studio, which had been renovated with a huge investment, had the style and temperament of an art company. It had a simple and lively overall decoration style with exquisite details. And Luchun finally had his own independent office, and also had a private place to receive friends and guests. As for the original rented place, it was not empty or sublet, but became the office of the Chun Fei Charity Foundation, which was currently being renovated. Now there was a guest in Luchun's office. The man was in his 40s, wearing a suit and tie, and looked gentle. He was slightly thin, had a high cheekbone on his cheeks, and his eyes were small. He was probably a little nearsighted, but he didn't wear glasses, so he always squinted intentionally or unintentionally. The atmosphere in the room was a little dull. Luchun was concentrating on a contract document in his hand. His right index finger on the table gently tapped twice, which somewhat revealed his inner mood at the moment. This middle-aged man in his 40s was called Feng Jun. He was Feng Hui's agent and the latter's cousin. The contract in Luchun's hand was brought by Feng Jun. The content of the contract was mainly about the treatment of Feng Hui, as the director in Luchun's new play. Autumn in My Heart was directed by Feng Hui. At that time she signed a contract directly with Luchun Studio, so after the shooting was completed, the studio also paid her. Luchun and Feng Hui had a very pleasant cooperation. In addition, Autumn in My Heart was a big hit. Later, he and Chun Fei especially made 2 big red envelopes and sent them to her. Because the success of Autumn in My Heart was largely due to Feng Hui's work, she had a strong grasp of the plot and properly expressed the mood of the story. In layman's words, it was very beautiful. Therefore, Luchun intended to let Feng Hui direct the new play Full House of Romance, which was also recognized by the cooperation. But things were not that simple. Feng Hui's agent brought Luchun a contract which was a bit excessive contract. In this contract, Feng Hui's salary as a director was 20 times higher than that of Autumn in My Heart, reaching 5 million. In addition, she enjoyed many benefits including a share of copyright. Luchun could still accept a salary of 5 million yuan alone. Feng Hui's salary for shooting Blue was 250,000 yuan, which was not low for her value at that time, but there was no extra share of income. Speaking of which, he felt indebted to her, so he gave her a red packet. This was the principle of doing things. Now that they were going to shoot a new drama, it was necessary to raise the director's salary. In today's film and television industry, it was very common for high-ranking directors to receive a share of the profits in addition to the fixed remuneration. The specific terms of the contract involved specific situations. It was not uncommon for top directors to make tens of millions of yuan from a blockbuster or a long TV series. It was normal for Feng Hui to ask for a share. However, Luchun couldn't remain calm when it came to the distribution of copyrights. He had always been very concerned about copyrights. For example, for his own works, he would register the copyrights as soon as possible. Now, when he sold his songs to others, he would still retain part of the copyrights. For TV dramas like Autumn in My Heart and Full House of Romance that would definitely be popular, the copyrights had to be firmly held in his hands, and he could not allow others to covet it. The benefits brought about by IP were the greatest and also the most lasting. Moreover, it was easy for others to take advantage of it if it was shared. Therefore, even though Luchun was preparing for the new drama and had many partners, and many parties were investing in it to share the profits, he had never relented to anyone when it came to the copyright. This was the golden hen that laid the eggs. Luchun couldn't help but feel strange. In his impression, Feng Hui was not the kind of greedy person. The salary she asked for was not outrageous and was in line with her value. However, it was a little unbelievable that she would get a share of the copyright. Lu Chen's long silence made Fang Jun a little uneasy. He moved his butt and tentatively asked, "Teacher Lu, if you have any comments or ideas about this contract, you can tell me now." Lu Chen glanced at him calmly. In the entertainment industry, it was common for star artists, including directors, to use their relatives as agents. For example, his own agent was his sister. The biggest advantage of using a relative as an agent was that he could rest assured. He usually didn't have to worry about being betrayed or backstabbed. Fang Hui accepted Lu Chen's invitation and was willing to continue to direct his new drama. It was normal for her to ask her agent to come forward and talk about the salary with him. There was no problem of losing face. But it didn't mean that there were no problems. He thought for a moment and said, "Originally, when it comes to the contract in our studio, our manager is the one who talks about it, but my sister just went out today." Lu Chen changed the subject and said, "I've read this contract. Everything else can be discussed, but I'm afraid there's no room for discussion about the copyright. And I feel that the percentage you ask for is too high." The last few words Lu Chen said resolutely, with unshakable firmness. This was the advantage of facing an agent. Otherwise, if it was Fang Hui herself, some things would be hard to say. Fang Jun's face changed, and then he said with a smile, "This can be discussed. The copyright issue can be put aside for now, but the percentage... In fact, we can inject capital." Inject capital, that was asking for more. Lu Chen's new drama was not short of investment at all. Lu Chen suddenly understood that the other party's request for copyright was just a cover. The real purpose was to divide the profits, and his appetite was quite big. He suspected that this was Fang Jun's own idea. It was not uncommon for the agent of a star artist to take the initiative to demand an exorbitant price when negotiating a contract. Even Fang Hui might not know. Lu Chen pondered for a moment, then shook his head and pushed the contract back to Fang Jun on the table. This was the meaning of refusal. Fang Jun obviously didn't expect Lu Chen's attitude to be so tough and refuse so firmly. He thought there would be a battle of words, but Lu Chen didn't give him a chance to show his eloquence at all. This made Fang Jun a little angry out of shame. He came prepared today. Not only did he carefully prepare this contract, but he also deliberately inquired about Lu Shi's absence. He chose to talk with Lu Chen face to face, trying to open a gap from Lu Chen. Lu Chen was very young and had a good relationship with Fang Hui. In addition, he had a good reputation in the circle. Fang Jun wanted to persuade him with his own ability and fight for the best contract. However, Lu Chen was far more difficult to deal with than he had imagined. He couldn't help saying, "Teacher Lu, our Fang Hui has invited a lot of people now, and the treatment is not low." Fang Jun wasn't talking nonsense. Autumn in My Heart successfully made a group of newcomers popular, and it also promoted Fang Hui, who was only a little famous in the circle, to the position of a first-line TV director. Around the new year, many film and television companies approached Fang Hui and invited her to shoot the same type of TV series. The price was quite high. Otherwise, how could Fang Jun have the confidence to take out such a contract? Lu Chen said with a faint smile, "Mr. Fang, I am friends with Sister Fang Hui. I think she can understand when it comes to business, and I also hope that her career can get better and better." With that, Lu Chen also sighed secretly in his heart. Originally, these words should have been the most appropriate for Lu Shi to say. Most of the time, the agent played the bad guy. It was just that there were some words that Lu Chen had to say. In fact, before Fang Jun, Lu Shi had also refused several contracts on behalf of Lu Chen's studio, including Zhang Liwei and Hu Yang, two newcomers who had become popular because of the TV series Autumn in My Heart. Both of them wanted to play roles in Lu Chen's new TV series, but their agents' requirements were very high. If Lu Chen's studio met all their requirements, the budget of the new TV series was bound to be overspent by a big amount. Zhang Liwei and Hu Yang were also very sincere, but their current net worth was far from what it was when they were shooting the TV series Autumn in My Heart. The agent asked for first-line treatment. In addition to the pay, there were specific conditions such as clothing, food, housing and transportation when they went out to shoot. Zhang Liwei and Hu Yang might be willing to reduce the pay, but the corresponding treatment was not enough, and they would be laughed at. Moreover, the two of them now had a lot of film contracts and endorsements. Therefore, after some contact, Lu Chun still gave up these original cast members. Full of Romance was a new TV series, not a sequel to Autumn in My Heart. There were many artists who wanted to play a role, and there was a lot of room for choice. The same thing was true for Fang Hui. She was not irreplaceable. Since Lu Chun had said this, Fang Jun couldn't continue the discussion even if he wanted to. He could only put away the contract resentfully and try to save it one last time. Teacher Lu, actually. Lu Chun waved his hand and interrupted him. You can make an appointment with our manager to talk about it. Although that was what he said, in fact, Lu Chun had already given up the idea of letting Fang Hui continue to direct. There were many directors in the circle who could shoot the same type of work, and there were also many choices. Fang Jun left very reluctantly. Lu Chun was more and more sure that this contract was drawn up by him on his own initiative, and did not get Fang Hui's approval. But what could he do? Lu Chun couldn't directly call Fang Hui to complain, could he? If he really did that, he would be too immature. After thinking for a moment, Lu Chun called Sister Li. To be honest, he was also a little depressed in his heart. No wonder people said that the entertainment industry was too complicated. Many things could not be achieved just because you thought about it well. People's hearts could also change. In this circle, there were really not many people who could always stick to their original heart.